And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another round of Next Round Sports. This is Chris Porter here with Jeff Amos, Caleb Culver. How you doing tonight, gentlemen?
Doing
Oh,
great. We're entering that fun time of early spring sports with Final Four. The Masters will be on in a couple weeks, or
yeah. Then you got your
actually in a week, and
Euro
then
and Olympics
the
coming up.
NFL
It's going to be
draft,
a fun year. Hmm.
Olympics are on the way. We've got one of my
NBA
favorite times,
playoffs,
Kentucky
NHL
Derby coming up in
coming up.
May. This is an
Hmm.
exciting time. And along with that, we also have the NFL draft that's on its
Yeah,
way here.
Hmm.
we do.
As excited as we are about these things that our wives hate, girlfriends hate because we're glued to TVs, watching sports and everything all the time. Let's go ahead and focus in what has been the biggest thing here, and that is the March Madness tournament. And we're going to give a quick update here on our standings here in our bracket challenge. Right now,
Hmm.
Jeff sitting in second place, 650 points with a max of available 1,130. He still has UConn to win, so he still has a chance there to take the
Yeah.
whole thing. I'm in fourth,
Saying there's a
550 points
chance.
scored with a max of 720. And Caleb sitting in sixth with 520 points scored, but a max of 1,000 because you still have your Huskies in
Woo.
it.
Yep.
So that's where we stand right there. And yeah, we'll see if Jeff can keep some money in our pockets. Otherwise, we're going to be ponying up.
Indeed.
But
Hmm.
that is okay if we do. We'll be happy to do it. It's been a fun tournament. We'll definitely be doing this in years to come. But now moving on into the actual games, and I'm going to go through real quick just because we made our picks last week of who we thought would be in the Elite Eight, and just see how well we did on our updated Elite Eight picks. And then after we talk about the games, we're going to make picks right before at the end of the segment of our picks of who's going to be in the national championship out of the final four and who we think is going to win. Sound good, guys?
That
Let's give
works.
it a shot.
All right. Well, in the first game we had, of course, UConn and San Diego State, which we all picked UConn to win that one. That one went
They
about the way
did
we thought.
handily. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that wasn't even close. I mean, UConn was just on a whole, was just a completely different level than San Diego State. I felt extremely confident that UConn would take care of business against San Diego State, and sure enough, they did. I mean, they dominated the rebounds, dominated the field goal percentage, just a complete blowout. So,
San Diego
It's
State
a
was
good.
also not the same team that went to the national championship
Well,
last
no,
year.
they
They were,
absolutely,
lost all five
they're not.
starters, as we said.
mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, this is just. I mean, UConn's on a trend right now, and it's crazy to think about. I'll get into it when we get to the Elite Eight with the total numbers, but they just kill teams.
They do. And San Diego State, they need to be happy with losing all five stars, getting to the Sweet 16 the next year.
Yeah,
Hey,
they had a
they have nothing
very
to
good
hang their
run.
heads out. They had a very,
No,
very good run, very good run up to the Sweet 16. Then the
agreed.
next game after that, we all got wrong. All of us got wrong. We all picked Iowa State to beat the
Yeah,
Illini. And man, we really messed up on that one.
yep.
yeah, and that
Illini
was
surprised us. That one of the top ranked offenses showed out.
yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about it before the start of that game, how it was just an evenly matched game, just a coin flip game, and the score was only 72-69. I think the key in that game was once again Terrence Shannon Jr. Dropping 29. I believe
Mm.
going into the UConn game, he had the most points in the tournament out of any player. So there was just no answer for him by Iowa State, and Iowa
Hmm.
State as there has been struggles at times where they get in scoring droughts without that prolific, consistent score. Um, they got in one of those droughts in the first half, and they just couldn't repound. No pun intended.
Very true. Now,
Mhm.
the next game after that, ugh, North Carolina and Alabama, and Caleb, the only
Yep.
one to pick the winner out of this game.
Just don't trust North Carolina to hold it together. They were too up and down all year, and I mean they were there, but North Carolina, Alabama just killed them with the 3. They literally was death by 3-point.
Well, it's a
Soares
tale
had a
of-
great game.
Yeah, it was really a tale of two halves. I mean, North Carolina played Alabama's
I would say it's
style.
more runs than halves. Like both teams had pretty good runs going on at different times.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, Alabama just took control of that game. I think it's a 3-point line still. But sorry,
Well-
Jeff, go ahead and kind of finish your thought.
Oh no! Also, too, I was just going to say, in the second half, there's been a lot of talk about this improved Alabama defense, and it came to show in the second half of North Carolina. They gave up 54 points in the first half, only gave up 33 in the second. He did a great job of limiting Baycott and Davis in the second half. RJ Davis didn't even make a 3-pointer in this game. And we'll get into Mark Sears when we talk about the Elite Eight game a little bit against Clemson. But he had a great game, as did Grant Nelson too, which was
and Stevenson too on that rebounding edge. His post play was pivotal. I think you said on that defense, like you mentioned, for Alabama.
Nelson 5 blocks in that game against North Carolina. 5 blocks.
All right, and then moving on to the next game, Arizona and Clemson, and I'm the only one that picked Clemson to knock off
I figured
Wildcat.
when you sent us that meme, it was like, oh yeah, he must have picked Clemson.
Well, first, you're right. It happens in this tournament way too often with Arizona, where there's going to be a game where they shit the bed, and they did. Clemson completely dictated the pace of play in this game, and it was too much for Arizona to recover. Also, think even though they've been one of the top teams ranked in defensive efficiency, there were too many games I saw in the Pac-12 where their defense fell apart, and when Clemson controlled the pace of play, it was Clemson's game to win, and they did.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And this is also crazy too to think about. Like this is Alabama's first Final Four, and only like Clemson's second Elite Eight, I think, which is crazy for those historic programs. But yeah,
exactly. And when it comes down to it in basketball, don't bet on the Pac-12 when they're playing an ACC team.
No.
That's a secret, I guess.
The next game after that, one we all swung and a miss on. We all picked Houston to take down Duke, and Duke upsetting my bracket completely and a lot of people's brackets. They're winners.
Yeah,
in Houston.
Very true.
Well, I think the storyline and possibly deservedly so was the fact that Jamal Shed, Houston's National Player of the Year, it went out in 13 minutes, and the game was completely different. Houston really had consistent scoring option. Duke had Filipowski. With that being said, though, the
defense of Houston, though, still without that player to hold Duke to 54, was still impressive, though.
But also, too, I didn't think even without Jamal Shed, the way Duke won this game, Duke is not known for their physicality. I remember watching the Duke North Carolina game, the first game and that there is no physicality from Duke whatsoever. So for Duke to match Houston's physicality, even without the services of Jamal Shed, that was really impressive to me. So I give Duke a lot of credit, even though, again, the storyline, and again, rightfully so, should probably be that Jamal Shed went out for the game. But you have to
Well,
give
this
a lot
third
of
year
That's
in a
what the
row,
coach
you-
mentioned too. Is like it was almost unfair. Kelvin Simpson mentioned that once he went out to
Right.
play Duke at that point.
Well, for the third
But-
year in a row, Houston loses a player either right before the tournament or in the tournament that has, been so important to their team. I mean, it's just how unlucky can
Yeah.
you be?
And
Program?
don't forget they lost like one of their star freshmen too, before the tournament even started, before the Big 12 tournament started, Big 12, excuse me, before the Big 12 tournament even started. He was out for the year with I think a broken leg or something.
Yeah, it's just kind of the injury bug is clipped U of H a little bit, but I still think the system that they have right now is one that is repetitive, and I expect them to repetitive for success. That is, I expect them to be back fully contending in the Big 12 again and fully contending in NCAA tournament. So I don't expect it to stop anytime soon.
Agreed.
Next matchup, North Carolina State and Marquette, with the Wolfpack knocking Marquette out, and Caleb and myself only ones correct on that one. Jeff, you swung and a miss.
Yeah.
The only other
And it-
game played in Dallas, and also what's surprising about this game is that DJ Burns was not a factor in this game at all. We'll talk about
very
DJ
true.
Burns later.
All right, hey, let's call him his new nickname, Jin Zebo.
Right. But it was really Marquette just could not make a shot.
And that's one of the things we
Marquette
mentioned too. Like if you can't make their shots, their threes in particular, they were 12.9% from three. That is horrible.
Exactly. They're 13% from the line, only 61%, 13% from the 3-point line, only 61% for the free throws. NC State out rebounded them in this game. In my mind,
not as much as I thought it would be, but I mean, we knew NC State would have the rebounding edge.
Well, Mohamed Diarra was the key in this game, getting 11 points and 15 rebounds. But I think
It's a good game by him.
In my mind, I don't think NC State necessarily played a great game. It's just that Marquette simply could not make a shot. And so also too, when you are only, you had only 7 guys playing for Marquette. So if you don't have anyone out of your starting 5 that can shoot, and then really no one off your bench to help out at all, it's going to be a long night regardless of who you play, especially against a hot NC State team. So really NC State, won this game easily, and Marquette was never a threat in the game at all.
Yep.
And that's with NC State turning the ball over 14 times, by the way.
Very true. Very true.
All right, going on to the next game, Purdue and Gonzaga. Clean sweep. Everyone picked Purdue, which, as we talked about before we started recording, Zach Edey is playing the way that we all.
He's playing like a
him to
number 1
play.
pick, in all honesty.
He is. He is. And he's definitely like he's playing to up his draft stock, absolutely. But he's playing not what we all thought.
I
Purdue
think it's
right
more
now-
the improved guard play for Purdue
True.
this year.
True, and
they're
we've
making
talked about
more
that as
threes,
well.
and as Jeff mentioned earlier, they're playing better defense. I just didn't mention
Purdue
Auburn
is
for the
also
record.
playing like they want to pull another Virginia, lose to the 16th seed, and then come back and win the championship the next year. That's the way they're playing right now.
Yeah. It's like if you lose to a 16 seed, just bet on that team next year to go to the championship round, apparently. 'Cause that's the secret to success for the last 2 that did
So
it.
far, it's happened the last 2 times. So.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I was really disappointed with Gonzaga defensively in this game.
I wasn't. They were who we thought they were.
The Gonzaga hater has come out.
Edey did
But yes,
whatever
he's not wrong.
Edey did whatever he wanted to do in that game. And Caleb, as you alluded to earlier, The guard play was exceptional. The guards did whatever they want. Braden Smith got 15 assists in that game.
Smith has been big this whole tournament for the most part.
And so Purdue was really able to do exactly what they wanted to offensively. And so if you're not able to stop Edey, and if you're not able to stop the guards, then I don't really know how you're going to beat Purdue. So it was pretty easy victory for Gonzaga on Friday.
Pretty easy for Purdue, but yeah, they just walked victory. About as easy as UConn's was, in all honesty.
All right, and that brings us down to the last game, Creighton and Tennessee.
Yeah.
Volunteers taking that one.
Mm-hmm.
Messing it up for me. This was a very evenly matched game, with the exception of a run that took place in the second half when it was tied at 39, and then Tennessee went on a 16 to nothing run, and that just completely changed the game. And it was really just as simple as
because then Creighton's fighting to get back.
And Tennessee was red hot. I don't really know how else to describe it other than that. I mean, I don't think it was necessarily anything that Creighton did bad or anything that Tennessee did exceptionally well. It just happened, and then that was the game. It was too late for too many points and too late in the game for Creighton to come back. But with the exception of that, very, very evenly matched game. I thought Creighton's guard play was great. I thought their defense was
I mean, I would have liked them to do a little more inside-outside stuff to try to break up that run and get some more hands in the stars and get the ball more in their hands of their star guards. But
yeah, they should have got it in the hands of their guards, let their guards attack the basket, get high percentage shots, slow that game down, and slow down that run. But I mean, that's hindsight's always 20/20.
Very true.
I mean, when you're in the moment and the way everything has changed since Steph Curry has done what he's done, that everybody's got to jack up threes, and that's the way you win. It's back.
Well, Creighton's known for jacking the threes ever since Doug McDermott was there.
But that's a really good point.
Well, yeah, his dad was coaching them, so.
That's a really good point, though, in terms of the pace of play. It's just that Tennessee was able to speed up that game, which allowed them to go on that 16-0 run. Now, great, it's pretty shocking he got to that point, but as you said, Creighton did a solid job of slowing the game down the first half, and again, with the exception of that 16-0 run, really did a good job throughout the entire game. But that run, that 16-0 run, was the deal in here.
Yep. So for our outside of the bracket picks, the Elite Eight, this is where we stand. Jeff, 2 correct with UConn and Purdue. Caleb, 4 correct. And I had 5 correct. So, because we already know the Final Four, we can't do our Final Four picks, of course, but we can pick our national championship and national champ winners, which we'll do here and talk about those games.
I want to talk about a little bit more about UConn and Illinois, though, before we get too far ahead.
Oh, we will. We'll go through these Elite Eight games and how they went to the Final Four. I was just saying that we can't pick the Final Four because those games have already happened.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We can't do the Elite Eight. Yeah.
Exactly. No. Exactly. We're still going to talk about the Elite Eight games. We're picking that up right now. And then we'll pick our national championship here after we're done talking about that. So since you go ahead and brought it up, go ahead. Jump right into this UConn Illinois game. UConn on a 30-0 run.
Yeah.
30-0.
UConn is already calling it the run in their history. They're calling it the run. Yeah, I mean,
honestly, they missed out on naming this. They should have called it the Iditarod. Should have been called the Iditarod.
I think there's still a chance. We can write it in the Iditarod.
anyone's
But yeah,
listening-
I mean,
if
this
they're
was the
listening to
first
the
team I was
podcast, they
like,
can find out.
I wanted to actually watch this game. This is the first team I was like, let me see. I think Illinois might give UConn some trouble. And I mean, it was close in the first half, but then that second half, like you said, the 30-0 run, and they just put it out of sight. I mean,
that
it's
run was
crazy
basically
what happened.
the meme, the meme of the guy sitting back playing video games and then moving, coming up and getting on his knees and like taking it seriously now.
Something, yeah. I mean, during the run,
That's
Illinois
exactly
was
what it
0 of 17 from the floor, missing 5 3-pointers, had 3 shots blocked, and 3 turnovers. Oh man, UConn was 11 of 15 during the time with 2 3-pointers, 7 assists, 3 offensive rebounds, and 6 of 7 from the foul line. And UConn on the defensive end too with Klingon, man. People don't want to get in there and play with Klingon when he's in the middle. It's crazy what he's doing on the defensive side there. But I mean, you're never going to see another 30-0 run, I think, again.
And what's crazy is that Castle didn't even do anything for UConn in that game.
Yeah, Tristan Newton had a very off game.
Yeah, him too.
As well. And I mean, so far, I mean, UConn right now is setting records like we talked about. They got the most wins in 35 in a season. That's a UConn record. NCAA tournament record by wins of double digits for 10 games, dating back to last year.
And also, too, another thing that's interesting about this game is how do you shoot 18? You don't even shoot 18% from 3 and you win by 25.
Say, like, that's the thing with the UConn, man. It's like they just don't seem to have a hole in their game. It's like, oh, we're not shooting the 3 good? Okay, well, dumb it down to Klingon, run some post in and outs.
Well, there was
just
a
let it
stat
go.
I saw that their average point differential per game in the tournament has been like 27 points.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have
It's something
they
like
have-
that.
they have trailed for, I believe, a total of 5 to 8 seconds.
I was about to bring it up. Yeah. And I mean, you look at the
It's
defensive
hard-
numbers
it's
for this
hard
game
to
of
walk.
Illinois, one of the top offenses in the tournament, 25.4 field goal percentage, 26.1 3-point percentage. Like, those are crazy low.
Mhm.
And I mean, like you said, I mean, just the margin of victory is ridiculous too at this
UConn,
point.
they're doing it on both ends. It's not like they're going out and just outscoring everybody. They're going in and shutting these teams down. They went down and
Yeah.
shut number
And
one.
what's been
scorer in the
interesting
tournament
too,
down.
yeah, is the first halves are generally kind of close, but UConn's second halves are so strong.
Yeah,
And I
it's
mean,
just
they've been
kinda
the number one
reminiscent
in the
of the
nation
UConn
of
season.
second half scoring differential the first half. But they just like figure out what you're doing, say, okay, this is what you're doing, this is what
They
we're gonna
make the
do, make the
changes
adjustments.
there at half. They make the halftime
And-
adjustments, and it's been working every single
Yeah.
time.
I mean, Dan Hurley's about to get a lifetime contract, I think, if he wins another championship, but good night.
Oh, for sure.
Easily.
Yeah. I just like the fact too that Bill Murray's like going to all these games for UConn because his son's an assistant coach on UConn staff.
I didn't know his son was assistant coach. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was like, what's Bill Murray doing here? I was like, oh, he's got his son on the staff. It's like, oh, cool. Oh, and I do like the fact that Hurley played his son and the mop-up minutes of this Illinois game too. He's like, okay, you can go in now. But he did pretty good. He did good.
At least the guy get in.
Yeah.
That's how I was back in high school.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, no joke, same. But I'm gonna give Klingon some props. He's averaging about 20 points a game and 10 rebounds a game. And he's got he had 8 blocks in the Northwestern game and 5 blocks in the Illinois game. So he's tearing it up. I mean, he's doing better offensively, honestly, than I thought he was. I thought that was his weak side. But he's definitely playing and raising his draft stock.
All right. Well, going on to the next game, talk here a little bit about Alabama and Clemson. with Alabama able to punch their ticket, which they'll be facing UConn there in the Final Four.
Bringing that army of threes still with them. They're still so hot from the 3-point line.
Yeah,
shooting like 45% this game alone.
Right. Very evenly matched game. It seemed like every time Clemson had a chance to get back in, Alabama would make a three, or Alabama would get an and one. There's just, it seemed like Alabama at the right times just made the perfect play to.
You said like Clemson would go down, make a three, Alabama would come down and answer.
Right, exactly. And Mark Sears had a fantastic game. For all the talk about Dalton Knecht,
he became Alabama's leading scorer in total points in history of the program, Alabama.
Exactly. And for all the talk of Dalton Knecht being SEC Player of the Year, and rightfully so, he deserved it. But Mark Sears was right up there. If there's such a thing as being underrated when you have your programs, when you're the program's leading scorer, then that's what it is. I mean, Mark Sears had a heck of a game, and it was a lot of fun to watch. 21 of his 23 points were from 3-point land.
I think he set an NCAA double record for Alabama for most 3 points as well in a game.
That wouldn't surprise me. That would not surprise me.
But one of the surprising factors to me, I'm sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
Oh, and I was just going to say a couple other big notes in this game. In my opinion, though, Clemson struggles from the free throw line. They're 8 of 16 from the free throw line as well. Alabama out-rebounded Clemson 44.
That's what I was going to bring up. I was like, that's one of the things that surprised me is that Alabama just out-rebounded them by such a wide margin and just controlled the boards. Like I said, Stevenson and I'm trying to remember the other guy's name now. Sorry. Stevenson and Pringle. Yeah, Stevenson and Pringle controlled the glass all night long. Great job by their post players, especially if you're shooting threes, because if you miss those threes, getting the offensive rebound and getting it again is huge.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
You're welcome.
Anyways, we'll go ahead and move on over to Duke and North Carolina State. And North Carolina State just on that run. Cinderella story there for them, knocking down Duke and heading in before.
I'm loving DJ Burns, man. But this is honestly a tale of two halves. It's almost like two different games. Duke had control of that first half, up 27-21. DJ Burns only had 8 points going into the second half, but then they got outscored 55-37. Duke did in the second half. DJ Burns finishes with 28 points, 29 points. But it's like Duke just didn't show up in the second half, and then NC State did and steamrolled them.
I'm just kind of at a loss of words as to how this result transpired. To me, when Duke was up by 6 at the half, it was like, well,
you got to feel good going in at that point.
I'm sure Duke will play better in the second half, and if worse comes to worse, they'll duke it out like they did against U of H, and U of H is a lot better than NC State is. But then it's like they forgot that DJ Burns plays for NC State, and how they weren't able to make any adjustments to that is beyond me. I'm just perplexed as to why this game turned into the way it was. And again, and also too, NC State has only run 7 guys out there. Duke has much more depth than NC State does. I just really had a complete loss as to why this happened. I mean, Duke obviously didn't shoot the ball well in the second half, or actually, for that matter, the entire game. But still, just I don't get the collapse on on defense. That's
It's
just
a crazy second half to think about
surprising to me.
because NC State just took off.
55-37. I'm
Yeah.
just a complete loss as to
Complete defensive
Why
failure
not?
there by Duke. Just complete defensive
Yeah.
failure.
And I mean, Filipowski, I think, might have been bothered by the defense of Pringle and DJ Burns down low in that post too. He only scored
Diarra.
11. Excuse me, Diarra. They got of Alabama still. But he got 32 from McCain, but Filipowski only got 11. I think that's about 7 points below his tournament average.
Yeah, and considering he had such a big game against Houston, it was really disappointing to see him struggle. I mean, if you're going to struggle against a team, you figured it'd be against Houston, not NC
Exactly,
State.
not NC State.
Yeah.
But also, but look at that. NC State is an ACC team, so is Duke. They have
Yeah, so
familiarity.
there's a familiarity.
They played each other. NC State was able to win the ACC tournament. I mean, they turned it on at the right time, but they have that familiarity with Duke. They played them multiple times this year, so they knew how to beat them, even with the losses early in the year. You know, you learn from those losses. So to me, it's not that big of a surprise that NC State was able to knock over Duke just because of that familiarity. When you get those, division rivals meeting up in the tournament, they've got a little bit more familiarity than, if you've got like with the Arizona and Clemson, that's two teams that maybe they played each other.
Maybe they played each other in the Maui Invitational or something, but yeah.
Or maybe they were at the Maui Invitational and watched the other team play. I mean, you don't really know at that. So, I mean, this one, you got a little more familiarity. So it's the hotter team at that time. And North Carolina State's been hot since the ACC tournament.
Very true. They're still riding that high now.
They are all the way to the Final Four. Bringing up to the last game, Purdue and Tennessee. Man, this one hurt me. I needed Tennessee to get this one.
But man, honestly, this was the most boring game out of all of them. Like, it just seemed like you knew it was going to happen. Purdue just controlled this game to me from start to finish. There was a couple runs by Tennessee in there, but Purdue, you're just like, Purdue has this. Like, it's understated. Purdue has this game.
I was not bored by this game at all. I mean, to me, this was a very compelling game. I mean, it was neck and neck the entirety throughout the game, and you were showcasing two of the best players in the country, and Zach Edey and Dalton Knecht. I mean, Zach Edey ended up with 40 and 16. Dalton Knecht had 37 points in that game. I thought it was actually a phenomenal game. I thought it was really well played, well coached by both sides. Both teams did a good job of hanging on to the ball. The only complaint I would have if I'm Tennessee, but this happens when you're going against Zach Edey, is that there was no rebounding whatsoever for Tennessee.
I was about to say 47-26 in Purdue's favor.
Exactly.
You cannot win getting beat by 20 boards. You can't.
No, exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing that kept Tennessee in this game, though, is the fact that Purdue only shot 20% from the 3-point line. Tennessee shooting 42.
Right. But then again, when you have Zach Edey getting 40 and 16, it's like.
Yeah. And you're not challenging a lot inside, too.
Yeah, there's no inside threat whatsoever. All your points, with the exception, I think, 4 came from guards in that game from Tennessee. So, it was all guard play from whether it be Knecht, Ziegler, Mashack, whatever. So it didn't matter.
Yeah, well, nobody showed up really to help Knecht. Nobody else was in double figures either.
No.
Lawyer, at least, we got 14 points for Purdue as well.
Yeah, Ziegler's your second best player, and he certainly does typically a lot better than 9 points a game, and he was 1 of 8 from 3. So he had an awful game.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. To me, it's just a team like Purdue had control of this game from like the tip off. like I said, it's a close game, and it was good to watch connect. But this game seemed like it had Purdue written all over it. Purdue wins. Is just my only complaint to it.
Yeah, but I mean, Edey dominated again.
Oh,
why? How this
he's showing like he
team-
might actually be a number 1 overall pick at this point. Now, if
No,
he can go
well,
right,
he's gonna be a second round pick, but
second round.
yes, he'll be a second.
No,
I don't know if
He
I
won't
think he
miss-
played himself into the first round as of
at
right
least the
now.
lottery. I mean, just because he
Maybe-
can't necessarily
maybe-
go right
maybe
as they
he's
drove.
in-
If
No,
Purdue
maybe
goes
he
and wins
sneaks-
the national championship, he will not be in the second round.
Yeah,
Maybe he sneaks in late in the first round, but that'd be about it.
I mean, who do
But
you
if
got in
he
the
goes
first
and
round
has-
over him?
Say he goes against UConn and it's UConn Purdue and he puts up 40 points and they end up winning the national championship.
Against
He will
Lincoln's
go a
defense.
top pick. It will happen. I'm not saying he'll go number 1, but he will be a top pick because some team will reach out on that. They will.
Oh, well, if he dominates
I mean-
UConn, and then that's also too, you're going against Dom and Klingon in that game, then yes,
Mhm.
you'll be a first round pick.
I'm not saying just the
Yeah.
first round. You'll be a high first round. You'll be a lottery pick.
Yeah,
Easy. Because
Maybe.
people will reach for that. They will. Because
I mean, they'll reach for 7'4".
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, the one thing I wanted to bring up as we're finishing up here, the Elite Eight, is looking at the conferences that were representative. You had UConn, Big East. You had Illinois, Purdue, Big Ten. You have Tennessee and Alabama, SEC, and then Duke, North Carolina, and Clemson, all ACC. Who's missing? The Big 12 that we talked about all year of how great this season was,
I know.
how great they were this year, and not a single Big 12 team made the Elite Eight. To me, that is a
Yeah.
failure as Big 12. Huge
It
failure.
is, but I think a lot of that's
That's with
matchups
eight
too.
teams- well,
It was
eight
the
teams
matchup.
getting in.
But at the same time,
12.
as good as this conference was, to not get a single team into the Elite Eight is a failure.
Yes,
And
100%
this also
it is.
Doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me with the rumors that I'm hearing that the Big 12 is right now trying to seduce Duke into coming over to the Big 12 because the ACC is not going to last long with everything all getting combined together.
Supposedly, but ACC's
No,
adding
that's a-
people like SMU.
In a way, well, there's a lot of teams that are. I mean, Clemson and Florida State are reaching out, for ways to get out of it. North Carolina, Duke, and Virginia.
Florida
is
State thinks the
listening-
ACC hurt their chances
of
for
the
the national
conference.
championship game, so they're looking to leave.
Yeah.
Who was it you
I
said
mean,
again?
Duke-
Sorry, I missed the
Florida
end of that.
State.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, they want to get out to bolster it and get out of the ACC to be in a bigger conference. I don't blame them.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's just the thing that I noticed is looking through the Elite Eight when it first came out, going, every Big 12 team all of them were knocked out. They're all gone. And you
All
had 3
eight
from
of
the ACC. And everybody said
Mhm.
how down the ACC was this year.
Yeah.
You had 3 of them in the Elite Eight.
Well, that's the thing
Every
too.
one
Like,
of
it
them
doesn't
powerful.
necessarily the better teams win the tournament. A lot of times, it's a subpar team that wins the tournament that just got hot, had a good matchup. That's why we love it. That's why it's March Madness. It's chaos. NBA has a series. Usually, a series you can tell who the better team is. This is. Did you show up at 7:00 in Des Moines, Iowa, on a Sunday?
No, exactly.
Um,
I'm not. I
so-
just find it funny that all that talk comes down when it comes down to it. You have 11 seed North Carolina State being the representative from the ACC who's still in it when no one would have put them in the Final Four at the get go. I mean, you'd have
Yeah.
had Houston and
I
Iowa
mean-
State. Some people had both of them, 2 Big 12 teams in the Final
Yeah,
Four.
I mean, well, we also talked
Yeah.
about the Big 12
So,
most of the year too, or excuse me, Big East. We just said the Big 12, the Big East, and we were very disappointed. They only got 3 teams in. Yet there's only one of them, or excuse me, 2 of them in the Elite Eight.
well,
I
only,
mean,
well, only one.
No,
made-
there was only one in the Elite Eight.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Marquette
Sorry,
got
excuse
knocked
me.
out in the
Sweet 16 was the other one.
Chris
Sorry.
Marquette,
Yeah.
Creighton both got knocked out.
Now, all
Apologies.
three made it to the Sweet 16, but Marquette and Creighton get knocked out then. But
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knew UConn was going to go that far. They were the best, as of right now, still the best team in the country. So, I mean, that still had a better showing up to that point. But I just thought it was interesting to bring up. So
Yeah, it's a good
No,
point.
we now know our Final Four. We have UConn versus Alabama, North Carolina State, and Purdue.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a fan of bringing back the old big man basketball, you're pulling for UConn Purdue because you want that matchup for the national championship. Because
Well, I mean,
have that
even NC State
big
have
man
DJ
back.
Burns in there, man.
Mhm.
Don't
Well,
get
true,
rid of
but I mean-
Jenzebo. Don't throw him out just like that.
I think
But no, I understand what you're saying. Zach Edey,
exactly.
crazy.
So
That'd be
now-
a crazy matchup to clean on.
Now it is time for our picks. Caleb, I'm not asking you who you have in UConn, Alabama. I'm not asking.
Good call.
I'm not
Good call.
even gonna do it. I'm just putting a C right next to UConn.
That
Jeff,
works
who do
perfect.
you got?
I have UConn fairly easily in this game. I think Alabama's defense at some point as well as it's playing the tournament so far is going to crack. And I've got
Yeah.
and I've
And
got
UConn is a top 10 3-point defensive team.
well also too. It's just that UConn has Donovan Clingan, and there's no one on Alabama that down low that can stop that. I could easily see Clingan getting 30 points in this game. So I think UConn wins this game, somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 points. Also, what's
Another
impressive
double-digit
about
lead, wouldn't?
what's also impressive about UConn is that their defense has moved from top 30 in efficiency back in January all the way up to top 5, and obviously they're the best offensive team in the country. I mean, this UConn team is just unstoppable right now, and I don't think
Well, I said
Alabama personnel-wise has anything remotely close to contend with UConn.
I'm also going to be picking UConn. Alabama was matched up against Purdue in the Final Four. I might give Alabama a pick because I actually think, hey, that could be an upset that I could go with. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. The way UConn's been playing, there's no way that Alabama is going to be able to say. If they do, that's a bigger upset than a 16 beating a 1 because the way UConn's been playing. I mean, Alabama's earned their way there. Don't get me wrong. But the way UConn's been playing, the way they've done it on both sides of the court, defensively and offensively, the way they've shut down the three, as you brought up,
and those second half adjustments.
to me, Alabama doesn't have the personnel to just outright beat UConn. They don't have the personnel to do it. They were able to out rebound Illinois, out muscle them out. This is a whole new monster. Clemson. They were able to do that to Clemson.
Yeah.
But this is a whole new monster. You're not going to be able to outmuscle them, especially in the second half after those changes that they make. So I am also taking UConn. So that brings us up to North Carolina State, Purdue.
I'm excited for this game.
This one I think is going to be a good.
Really want to
And
see it.
Jeff, starting off with you, who do you have?
This game also interests me as well because I think with the combination of DR and Burns, I think they could do a great job of double teaming Edey and then forcing it to Purdue's guards to win the game. However, I think even though DJ Horn for NC State has been a great guard for them this tournament, I just think the guard play overall for Purdue is going to be the key in this game. I think they're going to be able to make some open shots, have the ability to find open shots. And also, too, I like Purdue's depth in a game like this. NC State only runs about 7 guys out there. I think also, too, DR and DJ Burns are going to get worn out dealing with Edey. I see this being an extremely competitive game, but I just think Purdue out tires NC State and they win.
Maybe.
All right.
We were joking overall, though, before the tournament started, Jeff. You thought NC State was tired going into it because they had to play 7 games in 5 days or something like that to win their tournament.
Oh, sure. Yeah. 5 games in 5 days.
But, I mean, this game, it's so enticing of a matchup both ways. I mean, you could have Burns bully Eddie and get him in foul trouble because Zach Edey's not a stranger to foul trouble in games at times. You could have Eddie go off. I mean, he got 40 points, like we said, in 16 against Tennessee. That's no slouch. So, I mean, this is I'm super excited to watch it. But I do kind of agree. I do agree with Jeff that my heart wants NC State just because of Jen Zebo. But I don't think they're going to have enough to overpower Zach Edey in the long run. And I think the guard play for Purdue, like I said, has improved since last year. And I think Smith's defense is actually pretty good too. So I think that stops the other DJ a little more and leaves only one DJ, Burns. So I think Burns could have a good game. But I think Purdue survives this and we get the matchup that I think we all want of UConn and Purdue to see these big men go at each other. But at the same time, I'm not necessarily going to be surprised if Burns gets in there and is strong and muscles Edey and gets him in foul trouble, and that leads to NC State winning. I'm not going to be surprised at that result either. But my official pick is going to be Purdue.
All right, I am going against both of you. North Carolina State. I'm riding the Cinderella story. Yes, I am rooting against Purdue.
There's a reason Cinderella stories end. Most of the 11s end in the Final Four.
I see the Cinderella story ending against UConn in the national championship.
Yeah.
That's right. When
was the last time we had a one-on-one in the national championship game? Anyway,
it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
We'll look that up during the break, and we can bring that up right at the beginning of the next round.
Yeah.
I like what North Carolina State's been doing. Everybody's been against them going the whole way. They've done nothing but win. They've done nothing but prove everything wrong.
They had a win to get in.
They had to win to get in. There's no reason to. I mean,
it's house money.
It's house money at this point. Like you said, Purdue, absolutely, yeah, they have the better team. That's why they were the number one. But at the same time, I don't believe it till they do it. I don't trust in Purdue until they do it. I'm not going to bet on them. UConn's easy to bet on. They won last year. They've proved themselves. They have the skin on the wall.
And they've won every game by double digits so far.
They have. Purdue hasn't proven anything. They've proven enough that they made it this far. They've made it further than I thought they would in the bracket. So they have proved me wrong in that aspect. However, I still am not going to pull for them. I mean, I know you're not pulling for them. Your heart wants North Carolina State, as you said.
Yeah.
But you don't with your head. I'm going fully with the heart. Let's ride at house money. Go North Carolina State. Since I am leading in our new pickup anyway. Whatever. Let's roll with it.
You got house money anyway, too.
Exactly. I've got at least one pick, and I can take this one pick and go with it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So in that aspect, I guess since we all paid different, I guess it wouldn't matter because the national championship is going to be. What's the schedule again, Jeff? You know what it is.
So it'll be Purdue, NC State first, and then it'll be UConn and Alabama after
Saturday.
That. And then those will be on Saturday, and then Monday night will be the national championship game of
UConn versus Purdue.
Or UConn against NC State.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I mean, if it's NC State
or NC State against Alabama.
If NC State goes against UConn, then I have UConn winning by double digits again. But if it's Purdue,
I absolutely do. I have UConn winning.
Yeah,
I
got
have UConn
to win.
They're
regardless
of
what happens, because I think if, say, if it's UConn against NC State, then I think Klingon's a matchup perfect for DJ Burns. And I think if it's a matchup between UConn and Purdue, I think the Klingon the Klingon Edey matchup is great for them as well. Plus, I think UConn's guards are better than Purdue's guards. So even if, say, Edey were to outplay Klingon, I think the guard play of UConn is better than Purdue's.
Yeah, and they're deeper than Purdue as well, I believe.
Yes.
So if I were to pick UConn for mine, you're both picking UConn over Purdue.
Yep.
Yes.
Just notating that down.
I'll pick them over NC State too if they're.
I'll tell you what.
Huskies.
I'm picking them over NC State too, because if NC State does beat Purdue, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be bad. UConn's going to. Really, Purdue is going to be the best team to give UConn a run at their money. They really are. I really, honestly, Purdue has the best chance.
Yeah.
They need to believe they can do it. I don't know if they fully believe they can do it. I don't know if
Yeah,
they're going to be able to get to the next step to do it. Now, I'm probably going to be wrong in that, and I'm okay with making this pick against them, just because I don't believe in Purdue. I don't believe in Zach Edey. As I said earlier, and I made that argument, if they go and he is able to get into the national championship and he's able to beat UConn and have a great game, I do believe he's going to be a lottery pick. However, I don't know if he can do that, and even with the improved guard play, if they get knocked out here in the Final Four, absolutely I can see him being a second-round pick or a late first round easily. But he needs to he's playing. If he comes out and plays like a number one overall pick, then he could be a high pick, but he's got to play his way into it. He has to.
Yes.
Very true, especially after last season's 16-1 drumming. Yep, exactly. And he didn't show up that game at all.
Well, that's where we got our picks. I've got everything documented, so on the next broadcast, we can all discuss where we were right and wrong. That's great. Well, great to wrap up here our segment here in March Madness. We'll be back here in just a few moments for the next round and go into the NBA. And welcome back from the break as we're ready to get on to the next round and start into some talk about the NBA. And before we get on about the Mavericks, which is really what we're going to mainly talk about here, I need to bring up that I have my new favorite nickname of a player in the NBA. It is the best name I've heard in a long time. As we were talking about with Larry Bird and how great his
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Jen Zebo.
To me, this was the best nickname. It is, and he's just got back off injury. Mitchell Robinson for the New York Knicks, the Block Ness Monster. I love that nickname.
Yeah,
Wait,
I heard that.
Doesn't do it for me, but all right.
Mitchell Robinson, he plays for the Knicks. He's been on.
He's like their forward center, but yeah,
he's a forward center, but the Block Ness Monster. I love that nickname, and should have been. It's been too long. Like, this name should have came out a long time ago. It's my new favorite nickname, and even though I can't stand the Knicks because they took Jalen Brunson, but I will root for Mitchell Robinson in the Block Ness Monster just for his name alone.
Mitchell Robinson, 7 foot, 240 pounds. Averages 1 block a season. That's the Block Ness Monster.
I don't care. I love the nickname, and I am rooting for the Block Ness Monster.
That's probably why it hasn't come out.
Probably, but I heard that earlier today, and I saved it just because I heard it yesterday, and I've been laughing about it ever since. I was like, I've got to bring this up on the podcast right before we talk NBA, just because that makes me laugh. I love it. So, anyways, after that silliness, let's get into the Dallas Mavericks and how they have now forced their way into the 5th seed in the West. They're starting today 2 games behind the LA Clippers to taking that 4th seed.
And Kawhi's got an injured knee now, so he's not with the team at the moment. So they could easily get to 4, assuming
possibility.
they can keep playing.
They're playing Golden State tonight. As we're talking right now, they're playing Golden State. That's in Golden State, but that's still a winnable game. In your next 4 games for the Mavericks tonight, Golden State, Atlanta, Golden State again, then Houston, who they just beat. There's a real possibility of hosting a playoff series and get into that 4th seed. A real possibility of that happening.
There is.
Which a month ago, you would not have said that about the Mavericks. You would not have
No,
said
you were sitting about the 8th seed. And you're like, are we going to be in the play-in tournament? I don't know. We might fall out. That was the talk.
We wanted to fire Jason Kidd a month ago.
We did.
Yeah.
We wanted to fire him. We wanted to
ago.
hopefully get into the lower seat part of the play-in tournament to go up against Minnesota in the first round. That was the goal. And now you can possibly be the 4th seed. It's outrageous what they've done. They've gone 9-1 in their last 10. They're 11 of 12. And on a 7-game win streak, the longest win streak right now in the
Meanwhile,
NBA.
Luka's making underhanded granny shots from 3 and bouncing it off the scoreboard and warm up and making it.
Well, the only game
crazy.
they lost during this streak was in Oklahoma City that Luka was out and hurt. That's the only game they've lost.
And they only lost that by a couple points.
It was close. That game was very close. And they got really close to losing in Sacramento in game 2 and were able to pull it out. But I mean, it's hard to
And
beat
that
the
was the
same
most
team in the
impressive.
same place. Yeah, that was extremely impressive. It's extremely hard to beat the same team at home. That's why they say in the playoffs, it's rare that you win game 1 and game 2 on the road as an away team, just because it's so hard to beat that same team 2 games in a row at home. It really is. And they did it to Sacramento, both games.
Right.
In the second game, not looking very good. After they blew out Sacramento by, what was it, 130? It was like a 20 to 30 point blowout on the first game there. Embarrassing. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. But yeah, first game was a blow up, but that second game
by 36 points.
Just a whip. That was out behind the woodshed whooping, is what it was.
Yep. Very true.
Why do we think that all of a sudden it's just changed?
Well, kid listened to us. They put Gafford back in, and they've started having energy with the 2-headed monster of Lively and Gafford. And
actually,
we see at times defense is actually being played as well occasionally. They don't play it all the time, but they play it occasionally.
Tonight's starting lineup was Luka, Kai, Jones Jr., Washington, and Gafford. That was the starting 5 for tonight's game.
And we had no Lively tonight, correct?
I'm not sure if Lively's playing. I've been kind of just keep looking up and blinking up ahead. I know that Dwight Powell is in the game right now, so it looks like Lively is not playing.
Yeah,
that's why Dwight Powell is on the court.
Yeah.
Right. He is out, yes.
Yeah. And then Doncic is doing his thing, and then and
it's all kind of started around the miracle shot in Utah too, to me. Mavericks just started having fun again, basically, and said screw it. After Kyrie made that last second buzzer beater against Utah over Jokic that everyone was talking about for like a week.
Oh, that was that was huge. That was the shot of the season for the Mavericks.
How do you guys feel with the way Luka here has been playing in this stretch and pushing to the end of the season? How do you feel about him winning the MVP?
It's unlikely, but I think he's second.
Right.
I
think he should be at least top 3, but
he is currently sitting second, where a month ago he was 4 away. He's now second and closing.
I still think the Joker gets it, but
Joker is plus 700 in winning as of right now. And
voting wise,
next is Luca, and I think he's at what 5-1 odds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
But
Luca
his
right now is
score-
averaging 34 points, 9 rebounds, 9.8 assists.
Yeah.
So that's very
I
close
mean,
to averaging a triple double like Westbrook
Well, the
did in his
conversations
MVP
that I've
season.
been hearing is that, Joker's averaging more than what he did when he won. However, with what Luka's doing, especially if they can get up into the 4th seed and he can keep doing what he's been doing through this stretch, scoring, putting triple doubles up left and right like he's been doing, that it could be something like what they did last year where they gave it to Joel Embiid, even though he didn't deserve it. Joker deserved it. Joker had the better year last year and should have been a 3-time MVP, but they gave it to Joel Embiid to have a little change up in it, that Luka could win this because of a change up.
Well, I mean, the thing that hurts him though is having Kyrie on the team, because Kyrie's not being a slouch this entire little run we're going.
Well, no, he hasn't. But even with him not being a slouch, Luka's still getting his numbers.
Oh yeah,
and in a way that.
But is Kyrie freeing him up?
Yeah, I mean, for him to go from 5th in voting for MVP down to 2nd in the last 3 weeks to a month.
That's also the biggest odds. So
it is biggest odds, but Kyrie's been doing his thing too.
Yeah. And also,
Kyrie has.
Let's not forget that Jamal Murray's a hell of a player for Denver. So is Michael Porter, and those guys. I mean,
cousin Mike.
Yes, cousin Mike. And Jamal, but and
you have to salute him.
No, right?
He's family.
He's my family, not yours. He ain't no kin to you.
I was just gonna say.
But yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to Luka being the MVP. Like I said, he's averaging almost a triple double. I don't think it's even that Djokovic's numbers are necessarily that good. I mean, if you look at the numbers, Djokovic is 26, 12, and 6 for his big 3 averages of points, rebounds, and assists. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's getting killed in points by 10 per game. Luka's averaging about 4 more assists, give or take, and he's only down 3 rebounds.
Yeah,
Luka's stat line overall is technically more impressive.
And if he can get in it's shown, at least what I was heard on the radio, because that's where I get a lot of my little information, little tidbits. There's never been an MVP winner from a 5th seed. There's been one from a 6th seed, but there have been a lot more from the 4th seed. So if they could get to the 4th seed, you've got statistically a better chance of winning the MVP.
Yeah.
Than being in a 5th or lower seed.
Right. Yeah, and it helps that he's getting more media attention with this winning streak now.
Also, too,
that and with his 4 shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, too, the reality is MVP, even though it shouldn't be, is a team award. So the Nuggets are going to finish higher than the Mavs are. So more than likely, Denver will get. I'm not saying that's right, but that's just the reality of the situation.
Well,
what about Anthony Edwards? Don't forget about Anthony Edwards out there too. Those Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh, I mean, he's been fantastic, but people don't even realize that Anthony Edwards plays.
Or what about that forward, Giannis Alexander? Or no, that's not right. Who was that?
Alexander.
Okay,
yeah,
that guy. Him from Oklahoma.
I mean, he's in the discussion, but again, he, in my opinion, he's kind of a poor man's version of Luka. I'd rather.
I mean, he's averaging 35 and 5, so you're not wrong. That's about where Kyrie is, just about 10 points below Kyrie's scoring average.
And if anyone here on the East Coast was actually listening to this podcast, they'd be like, "Oh, they're just favoring Western Conference teams. They're not even talking about the Eastern." Well, I can tell you right now that all 4 of those players are playing better than Giannis. They're playing better than Jason Tatum. I mean, I know Boston has a stranglehold on the East, but you don't hear anyone talking
Well,
about.
like
Jason
you said,
Tatum
like
and
the
Jaylen
difference
Brown. You don't
between
hear
the
anyone
first
talk about
seed and the
Scott.
8th seed, and from the East and the West is ridiculous.
It is. Joel
Well,
Embiid just helped beat Oklahoma City. No one's talking about Joel Embiid in the MVP conversation this year. No one, and he's the reigning MVP. No one's talking about it.
It also,
Yeah.
like, Jason Tatum, hell of a player, but like they've had no injuries. They have Jaylen Brown, they have Kristaps, they have Derek White, they have Drew Holiday. That team is loaded, and that's the reason why they're 12 games ahead in the East and have clinched the best record in the entire NBA. It's because they're that
Yeah.
good. It's a collective effort, and it's not to take anything away from Jason Tatum at all. He's a phenomenal player, but you can't put most valuable player when you have a team that's stacked like that.
Hey, true or false?
Yeah.
Devin Booker is the Kmart Jason Tatum.
I kind of like that comparison.
I don't know. It's a guard to forward. Throws me off a little.
I would say.
I mean, Piers Morgan is the pigeon lady in Home Alone 2. Makes more sense to me.
Well, no, they're about the same. But
They mean either teams. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I'd rather have Jason Tatum.
oh, I would always rather
Yeah.
have Jason Tatum than Devin Booker.
Well, that's why he's
Booker,
that's why Devin
Good
Booker's
job.
Kmart. He's the second one.
he's Kmart. He's the backup.
Mhm.
Exactly. But Jason Tatum, I think he's a great player, but I don't know if he can take Boston over the top. I just don't know if he has that in him to take them to the next level.
I'll just see if Doc Rivers works his magic maybe with the Bucks and. 'Cause, I mean, they're honestly the only team I think that could actually stop Boston out of the East.
I don't think
They are,
there's any team out
but-
of the East can stop Boston. I mean, they're just.
I mean, it's going to be a task. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not getting rid of playoff Damian Lillard. I don't know if it turns into somebody else in the playoffs.
But it's just basically like the East has been, because the East has always been that there's one team that just destroys
Well,
everybody.
there's usually
And-
like 2 or 3, but almost since the creation of the
After how
Miami
many years
Super
was
Team,
it?
it's
It was
been the one.
Cleveland, the Miami Super Team. When it was when LeBron went back to Cleveland, it was
You
Cleveland.
had
That was just
Indiana up
stubborn.
there back in the day for a while.
But
Yeah,
Indiana
Boston.
never made it far.
since
Indiana's never
2000.
got turned to be Indiana's not done enough
2000.
to be brought in.
2000, they made it to the championship. They lost the Lakers.
I know, but that was 25 years
I know.
ago.
And then I'm
Yes.
saying you got the Paul George, Roy Hibbert, Miami Heat duking it out with the super teams going on in the finals
Yeah,
or conference finals
they
there
never, yeah, that was that only happened 1 year. That was no,
twice, but yeah.
whatever. They no. That team was
But-
does not even need to be brought up in this conversation.
Well, whatever.
It doesn't. It doesn't. This is not like Reggie versus the New York Knicks. No, stop.
I'm just saying they've been up there before.
They don't need to be brought up in with these upper echelon teams that are dominating that.
Not
Like, I'm
this
talking
year. We're
about
going back in
recent-
history about when there used to be 3
yes,
decent
and then
teams and now there's
in history,
one.
I'm talking about in recent history: Miami, Cleveland, Boston.
You only say Miami because they were the 10th seed and got in and won to the championship.
No,
Basically.
I'm talking about in Miami when they were leading and destroying the East, and no one else was going to come out of the East but Miami with LeBron, Bosh, and Wade. And then in
Pacers
Cleveland,
gave
it
them
was-
their best shot, but yeah,
It gave
we
them
knew
the best
was
shot,
pretty
but
much-
it was always that team. You knew it was going to come out. Then with when LeBron went to Cleveland, you knew it was Cleveland that was coming out. And now, last couple of years, it's Boston's number one. Boston get knocked off. So when is Jason
Well, the
Tatum going to
Bucks-
take that extra step to help make sure Boston goes to the championship? Because right now,
Well, that's
Do
why
you
they cleared
trust him
out
to do
Marcus
it?
Smart and the other guy
Exactly.
was over there with him.
exactly. So
Brown.
it's now you're winning
Uh,
the regular season again. He needs to prove that he is the superstar to do it, because right now he hasn't done it. To me, he's Devin Booker, because he has not proved that he can take his team to the next step and be that superstar to do that.
Well, to me, he's better than Devin Booker. Obviously, I know we say
No, he's
Kmart Devin
absolutely
Booker,
better. I'm just saying
but,
mentality wise. Devin Booker was supposed to be that guy that took his team over the edge when they brought Chris Paul in. They actually made it and played Giannis in the championship. But Devin Booker always folds under pressure. And that's the thing. Devin Booker just folds under pressure like wet tissue paper. And right now, Jason Tatum has done the same thing. And until he can prove that he can take his team right now past the first round, because they couldn't get past the 10th seed Miami last year in the first round, he needs to get not only to the Eastern Conference Finals, but he needs to actually, to change my mind, he doesn't have to win it all, but he needs to come out in the Eastern Conference Finals. And if they lose in the championship, but he actually shows up and they just get beat, hey, okay, now he has something he can build up on, and he doesn't become this whiny, sniveling thing that Devin Booker is, because that's what Devin Booker is, and that's why Phoenix is dropped again and is down in the play-in right now and should get knocked out of the play-in, because that's the kind of team they are, even with Kevin Durant on their team.
What he reminds me of too is James Harden a few years back, right? Every time he was, no, James Harden let me rephrase this. Devin Booker reminds me of James Harden in the sense that Devin Booker folds under the big time pressure. Anytime there's a big time game, Booker fails, just like James Harden did.
Yeah, James Harden, and I had this argument with Justin Daddy, huge fan, of him telling me, us signing James Harden, you were wrong. He's the best player in the NBA. I was like, I am not wrong. It doesn't matter what he does. He is not a leader. He will not lead you to a championship. You will not get a championship with James Harden. All he's doing is getting his. He doesn't care about the team. And that's been proven left and right with how he's forced his way to so many trades. I mean, he's the most defense he's played his entire career is when he tried to block Kawhi Leonard's shot last week.
Yeah.
I was going to say back when he was on the Thunder, coming off the bench.
This last week, he passed the ball to Kawhi and then went out and tried to block his own shot. It's like, I was just messing around. Stop it. Why are you trying to block your own guy's shot? That's dumb. You're dumb. Stop it.
Maybe that's why I got a knee injury for Kawhi.
Kawhi's just like, F this. I'm done dealing with this idiot.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go back to the West for a second. It's kind of crazy, too. We were talking about the standings. Like I said, there's a 12-game difference between the first and second seed in the East. You go over to the West, there's 3 teams tied for the number 1 spot right now.
Well,
like 52 and 23.
Go down
basically for Thunder, Wolves, and Nuggets.
You as you said, there's 12 games between the number 1 seed and the number 2 seed in the East.
Yes.
You have 12 games different. Look in the West, and how far do you have to go down till you get to 12 games?
You got to get out of the play-in tournament. You got to go to the Rockets, who are 14 games back.
Correct.
Because Golden State Warriors 10th seed is 11.5.
Exactly.
That just shows the East and the West.
At halftime, Dallas Golden State tied at 49.
Ooh. That'll be a doozy.
It's going to be a doozy. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of this game while I talk to you two.
Yes.
I have to say that this has been one of the great days of us doing this. Is I'm able to actually 3 out of the last 4 times we've had our podcast, I've been able to actually watch a Maverick game.
Yeah.
On my big TV down in my basement. And I don't have to watch it on my phone sitting next to my wife.
Or just follow it on your phone. Yeah.
Yes. I'm able to sit here and actually, look up, watch the game, enjoy it. So that's been definitely a benefit that the Mavericks getting the late night Tuesday games. Very thoroughly enjoyed it. But yeah,
Luka.
As I said earlier, with them going against Golden State tonight, they got Atlanta, Golden State again, and Houston. Very winnable 4-game stretch here that they can try to push up into that 4th seed. I don't see them getting higher or potentially higher than the 4 seed. I think that is a very attainable goal for the Mavericks. I don't see them getting to the 3 seed, especially the way Anthony Edwards has been playing there with Minnesota and everything. And just there could be a possibility with teams floundering there at the end, but it's going to take a lot. Like a, the Mavericks basically can only lose maybe 1 or 2 games to end the season to even have a chance to be in that top 3 seeds. And that statistically is hard to say that they could do that, even with a decently easy final schedule.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially with just a month to go, give or take. They got about a half a month.
You always expect your team to win them all, but it's just you're going to be off on a night. There could be an injury that happens. I mean, anything could happen, and it's just you don't expect to win them all there, even at the end. It's just I just don't see that happening. I'd love for it to happen. I'd love to say they could win the rest of the games, to finish out the season and possibly still a 3 seed. To me, you're praying to fool's gold at that point. You're really, really hoping. I mean, could it happen? Yeah, it could, but I'm not banking on that happening by any means.
Understandable.
All right. Jeff, you want to talk about your Timberwolves?
Yes, I do. So right now, we're in a very interesting spot. I'm sorry, I was just following the Spurs. I was about to say Broncos, but I did not. I said Nuggets.
Technically, you did say.
Well, yes. No, we're playing very well right now. Again, as I sound like a broken record here without Cat. It's been the Anthony Edwards show, but also too, I think another thing to talk about, and this is a huge re-signing and free agency, is Naz Reid, who's really stepped up from that 6-man role into being a starting player. Gave 34 points tonight, 25 points. So the combination of him and Gobert down low with the way Edwards is playing right now has been phenomenal. Also, too, as we discussed before, Mike Conley's ability to be this veteran leader that this team desperately needs, add some discipline into this locker room.
Like
a lot.
Keep getting moved around, but he keeps getting moved around to teams that could actually be in contention every single time.
He was on those great Memphis teams in the mid 2010s.
Zach Randolph.
He was on those Utah teams with Donovan Mitchell, and now he's on these teams in Minnesota. He plays this role quite well, and he's done it again. So I'll take it, and we re-signed him to a cheap contract as well. So these leaders have been really valuable to us. And then at some point when Cat comes back, we'll see how he fits in. But
I thought Cat was out for the rest of the season.
Well, out for the rest of the regular season. He's not necessarily out.
He has possibly come back to playoffs. Okay.
Exactly. Okay. So, but we'll see. A lot of times these injuries are even worse than what they turn out when they say they are initially. But hopefully he's back in the playoffs. But I'll say that as long as we get one of those top 3 seeds, which I assume we will get, then we're in great shape.
Yeah, I mean, you've got LA, Washington, Atlanta, Phoenix twice on your schedule left over. You do got Denver coming up April 10th, which will be on ESPN, so we'll all get to watch that one.
Ooh, that'll be a nice one.
Mm-hmm.
That should
You should be able to
He-
get, I think, one of the top
That should
3
be
with
a
that
week
schedule.
from tomorrow on the week from tomorrow, the next Wednesday.
Yeah, week to tomorrow. Yeah.
What I'm still like thinking could happen is a 3-6 with the Wolves and the Mavericks. Then what are we going to do?
You're gonna go
You're gonna
home.
watch
That's
the
what you're
Mavericks
gonna
beat the
do.
Wolves is what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Exactly.
The Wolves are going home.
You do
That's
not
what's
want
happening.
that. That's the thing is that
No, I don't want that.
right now, no one wants to play the Mavericks right now. No one wants to play because you have a motivated Kyrie Irving, you have a motivated Luka, and you've got great role players around them who know their roles and fill them perfectly. And that's
It's a little
scary.
similar to the run when they went up against the Western Conference Finals with the Suns a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Role players knowing their roles and filling that role.
And the difference with that is that you have a motivated Kyrie Irving with Luka.
Instead of
And
Jalen
that's-
Brunson.
Exactly. And yes, Jalen Brunson's had some really great games lately. He truly has. But as great of a scorer as Jalen Brunson is, he is not the facilitator that Kyrie Irving is. Kyrie Irving is a much like if you stack up Brunson against Kyrie Irving at the end of their careers, Kyrie Irving's going to have a lot better career than Jalen Brunson has. So I mean, getting him in over Jalen Brunson, no,
I don't know.
there's no about that. Come on,
No.
get out of here.
He's averaging more assists right now than Kyrie.
No.
Kyrie Irving is
they're
at a different level than Jalen Brunson.
Completely different level. Completely different level. Jalen Brunson was a second round draft pick. Kyrie Irving was number 1 overall. And he has proven that throughout his career. Yes, is he cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? Absolutely he is. But the thing is, the Mavericks know how have shown him respect. Like this is one thing that really got me, which is why I think he's playing the way that he is with Ramadan, they had a chef come in and cook him a full vegetarian meal as soon as the sun went down. So as soon as the game was over, he had a personal chef there cooking him a meal. When he was in Brooklyn, when the sun went down, Brooklyn gave him a banana. They gave him a banana. That was it. So with them, taking the extra effort and, showing the respect to him for it, hey, this is what you believe. We fully respect you. Here you go. We're going to take care of you on that. I think you're getting, because when Kyrie first came, that was the discussion we all had. What Kyrie are we getting? Are we getting the motivated Kyrie? Because if you get that motivated Kyrie, you're getting possibly one of the best players in the NBA. You're getting that. But if you have him, how do you keep him motivated? How do you keep him buying in every single game? And right now, they seem to have found the way to get him. And I'm not saying just bringing in a chef to cook him a meal for Ramadan is the only thing that bought him in. Winning helps with all that too, but the chemistry him and Luka have seemed to get together that they look like, as you said, look like they're having fun. They look like they're enjoying playing together. This is the way Kyrie's been playing. He looks like he's having more fun playing now than I've seen him play since his early days in Cleveland. Because in Boston, he was tearing it up, but he didn't look like he was having fun. In Brooklyn, whenever halftime he wasn't even on the court, one, because he wasn't going to get the jab, and they wouldn't let him play in New York. He couldn't even play the home games because he wouldn't get the vaccine. So he never looked like he was having fun there either. He looks like he's having fun. And and that's the thing. You got Kyrie motivated. You got to have him motivated in. And at first, last season, I didn't know if he was. I was still on the fence last season when we brought him in originally because I don't know if this is actually going to actually work. I was really against it. I was like, bring in KD. Why did you get Kyrie instead of KD? Well, it looks like we've seen why. Because KD has done jack squat in Phoenix. They're a freaking playing team. That's what they're going to be. They're going to be a playing team. and you have a motivated Kyrie Irving. So that's what you hope for. As a Maverick fan, that's what you hope for. That right now, that's what we're getting at the moment. Is that going to be enough to get us deep in the playoffs? We will see. But I feel positive. More positive than I did at the end of last season when we tanked at the end of the season to get the same draft pick.
Ugh.
Like I'm
Well, that's just to
completely
say,
a
fuck
180
you,
from
Knicks.
where I was after that. At that, I thought the team was about to be blown up and we kiss goodbye to Luka. He's gone. He's going to leave. So what they've done since then, and actually from the point 2 months ago where we were ready to fire a kid and we were done with everything, to what they are now,
It's pretty remarkable.
it is extremely remarkable. It's surprising. I'm still in shock about the whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, unless you guys have anything else NBA related you wanted to talk about right now, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back to talk about a little bit of everything. It's time for the Sports Gumbo coming back here in just a few minutes.
Mhm.
That's good. That's good. Man, that's good. That's what you call gumbo. Poor man gumbo.
And welcome back from the break as we're ready to jump into the Sports Gumbo and starting the gumbo off tonight, throwing in that first ingredient, going over to Caleb. Run with it.
Yeah.
Mix up
I'm
the
gonna
roux.
talk- I'll try a little bit. I'm gonna start with the old boring cliche of football though, with J.K. Dobbins supposedly going to the Chiefs. So that could be a little interesting, assuming he can stay healthy, which probably won't happen, as we know. But just
Well,
an
they're
interesting
getting all
little
the
side
help
note.
they can get with Rashawn Rice's story about getting into the hit and run and
Yeah. Well, they've lost Rashard
Brandon
Rice, their best QB, and Snead, a guard, Nicoletti, Willie Gay Jr., a linebacker. So, I mean, they've lost some people on that defense, especially. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes for Chiefs this next year. Hopefully, the Ravens will play them in the regular season. So, hopefully, we will kick their ass as a little redemption, but we'll see.
regular season doesn't matter.
Oh, I know. Like I said, it doesn't matter, but I still want to
Just
kick
had
their
to say
ass.
it. Just had to say it. Just had to say it.
But a little NIT update action for us too. Robbie Avila, Indiana State, going to the finals. They beat Utah today, 190, and they were Larry Blair, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, great nicknames. Just they killed Utah. That the score was much closer at the end than what it was overall as far as the game. Indiana State had that one. Looks like they'll be playing Seton Hall. Because they're beating Seton Hall's 84-67.
That should actually be a
over
really
Georgia.
good game. The way Seton Hall's played all year long, and then put it up.
I agree. I mean, I would have loved to have seen these two as a potential matchup in the early rounds of the NCAA tournament.
That would have been fun. That would have been a better matchup than some of the ones we got. It truly would have been.
Agreed.
Yeah, that would have been a much better playing game.
Seton Hall, Indiana State would have been
State.
exactly. But yeah, I was just about to say that. But out of Colorado State, I would rather have had Indiana State and Seton Hall. Absolutely, without a second thought.
So yeah, interesting game. Played on Thursday, if I remember right, Jeff, for the championship for the NIT.
Yes, that is correct. Indiana State and Seton Hall will be playing on Thursday night.
There we go. And then I'm going to spring it over to the women's tournament real quick. Talk a little bit about Iowa and LSU. Iowa getting the revenge. I know. But like I said, this is about the only time I hear about the women's is the Final Four when they come in and see what's going on. But they set a record for the highest game, and they were one of the highest watched games, even more than the men's. 12.3 million viewers.
Caitlin Clark brought that in, and the fact that
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Well,
It was the
it
revenge
not
game. Of
just
course, it bought it
it was
out.
a revenge game. It was Caitlin
I
Clark
mean, yeah.
getting revenge
I
against
mean,
LSU.
there's reasons why it was there. I'm not disagreeing with you.
and
Caitlin Clark definitely brought him
I'm
in.
not upset that happened. I'm happy for the
Yeah.
women's game that happened. That's a good thing. Not that that's a good thing when you
Yeah.
have an intriguing storyline. That's always good. Always
Mhm.
good. You can never fault
Yeah.
that.
Very
My
true.
problem comes with a different game. The
Well,
North
hold
Carolina.
on. Let me finish the games real quick, and then I'll let you get on your rant.
I thought you were done. I'm sorry. My
No,
apologies.
sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
UConn and USC played as well. And not as many storylines going in, or excuse me, Porter said, not as many storylines obviously going into that one, but still, it was an intriguing game. So you're going to have UConn and Iowa facing each other in the Final Four on one side, which will be, I think, an interesting game to watch for the women's side at least. Now, Saturday was a low viewership for men's in the NCAA tournament Elite Eight games. UConn, Illinois only drew 6.48. Meanwhile, Alabama and Clemson got 7.79. But the highest men games definitely blew out the women's game at 15.29. NC State Duke was 15 million. Sorry, my bad. Purdue was 10 million. My bad. I was looking at the wrong one, I guess, there. So, yeah, they definitely heavily watched games, but good games watched all around. But yes, I agree with you, Porter, on this rant, but please go ahead.
Well, when it comes down to it, I'm happy that there was intrigue to bring into the women's tournament, but the fact that it keeps being shoved down all of our throats that it's just as good as the men's tournament, that we all need to be watching this. And if you're not watching it, you're a bigot. You're a sexist because you're not watching this because it's just as good as the men's tournament. I'm sorry. What I have to say right now is showing the complete farce that this has all been portrayed as. Because for the North Carolina State Texas game, they found out pregame that the 3-point lines on each side of the court were different distances away from the goal. One side was closer. One side was the normal distance away. The other side was closer, which was throwing off teams shooting threes because they were shooting closer than what they normally were. Normally, you think that would be a benefit. You're actually closer shooting, but it throws off your mechanics as it does. And it showed that teams that, shot that side actually shot worse 3-pointers than what they did. The fact that it took to this point, there have already been 4 games played on this court before they realized that this had happened is absurd. And for everyone sitting here going, for the NCAA trying to promote the women's tournament and make it to the men's tournament, it needs to be just as important. It's just as important.
It's because the NCAA wants money.
Exactly. That's what they want is money. But the fact that it's all been promoted, that is just as important as the men's tournament, but you cannot even make sure that the 3-point lines are the same on
That's
each
the
side
dumbest
of the court.
thing I've ever heard.
That is completely ridiculous that it happened.
And why was it up to the teams?
It is
Why was it up
never
to the
happened on the
teams?
men's court.
Well, he is on that. It was up to the ESPN broadcasting potential, right?
There
Or
was
broadcasting issues.
the teams were given the option of it would take them an hour to get it fixed and get it to where it should be. But if they did take that time to do it, they would not be broadcast because ESPN had ESPN Sunday Night Baseball.
They were told potentially, if I remember right, but yeah, they would have been kicked off for ESPN opening weekend MLB.
They would not have been on
another ESPN.
It probably would have gone to another. I mean, it probably would have been broadcast somewhere else, but you can't guarantee that. I mean, you got TBS,
But who cares?
TV,
I don't
ESPN,
Well,
CBS.
that
I agree. It
just
should have been
shows
fixed. It's stupid.
the fact that they said this game will probably not get broadcast if we wait to fix this shows that ESPN, NCAA, they don't care about this. but yet they're forcing
They
it
don't.
down everyone's throat that
That's
you
the
need to care about.
irony of it, though.
That's the whole thing because they're trying to squeeze money out of it. They're trying to squeeze as much money as they can out of Caitlin Clark because they know now that she's leaving, they're not going to get anything out of women's college basketball. So you strike while the iron's hot. I respect
yeah.
that. I respect that. Strike while the iron's hot. Try to get as much as you can. But to sit here and then say it's the same quality game, you're getting the same quality, and then you're not even giving them the same opportunity. You're giving them crap to play on. And I'm sorry, the court is
Disrespect to
crap.
the women too, but
Hey,
yeah.
that's crap.
Mhm.
And then trying to
Yeah.
sit there and sell it to us as you're giving us crap and trying to sell it to us as a ribeye steak. Bullshit. Get out of here. That's not the same quality. It's not the same.
Mhm.
That's why I didn't even fill out a women's bracket because I'm not going to fill out a women's bracket. This is not the same as the men's. I'm sorry. Yes, Caitlin Clark is a fantastic player. I give her all the respect in the world. But at the same time, I'm not seeing quality here. And also, you're not showing me that I should be looking for quality when you can't even guarantee that the courts are going to be,
Exactly.
the right way. That right there shows me
It's a
there is no
problem.
reason that I should even watch this sport because you don't give two shits about it to even market it. You're going to market the hell out of it to make your money, but other than that, you don't
Yeah.
care about it. You don't care about these women who are playing.
You
So
don't
what's
care
the
about
point?
competitive bouts whatsoever.
No.
Mm-mm.
All they care about is
Agreed.
their matchups, which they got with LSU and Iowa, which was a great game. I was able to get
Great
their redemption.
for, as you said, Caleb,
It was great
for
for
the
them.
TV rating.
It was.
Mhm.
The TV ratings, NCAA got what they wanted out of it. That's all they wanted out of it. They want nothing else. As soon as Caitlin Clark's done, they're not going to care. You're not going to hear anything about the women's tournament next year. Not a single thing. They were striking while the iron was hot. And to me, that's a disservice to all the women who play, women's college basketball. It's a disservice to them because they've been used. And
Well,
it's
there's a reason
absurd.
why the NCAA as an organization is considered antiquated and needs to go and be changed to a new one.
Oh, it should be. It absolutely
Because
should be.
it's about a big
money.
money grab. That's what the NCAA right now is. It's a money grab.
Well, the thing is, with the NCAA, their money, their big money, comes from college football. Everyone knows that.
Mhm.
Football supports all the other sports. The only time basketball actually supports themselves is during March Madness. Other than that, every other sport is supported by college football.
Right.
So, yes, as much as I enjoy watching the College World Series, and a lot of other people do, they don't support themselves. Football supports them. Tonight, while we were having dinner, my son, we were flipping through the channels. He wanted to see what sports were on. We flipped through. I go, well, hey, there's baseball. There's some basketball. There was the college championship of diving and swimming. That's what he said he wanted to watch. So we watched it.
Mhm.
It was enjoyable to watch, but I can tell you right now, those sports were fully supported by their football programs.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what it is. Because they're not getting the draw. Yeah, it was on ESPNU. The reason ESPNU is set up is for these sports to be able to be seen. No one's looking it up. No one's trying to find it. I didn't even know what was going on. We just happened to stumble upon it. It was fun to watch.
Sad
at the
but
same
true.
time.
Yeah.
That's the way of the world. That's the way
It
that it is. And that's the whole thing is that I don't fault the NCAA and ESPN and all the sports ones for promoting Caitlin Clark and getting her out there and doing that. That's great. She has been the best player in women's college basketball to play. I'm not faulting her for that. But I can
Mhm.
tell you right now, she's not going to succeed in the NBA. She won't be in the NBA. She can go have a great career in the WNBA. I
Yeah,
believe
I must say,
could
she'll be in the W.
in the WNBA. She'll have a great career. She's not going to make any money, but she could have a great career. She could be probably one of the best ever.
She'll make
Now,
more
she was
money
offered-
from marketing.
Yeah,
She was
marketing will be the key
and big
factor, if
three.
anything.
Absolutely. But they showed that she was offered $5 million
Yeah,
to
from the
play
big three.
in Ice Cube's Big Three. But
Mhm.
she doesn't need to go there. If she goes there, she's taking the money. And I don't blame her if she did.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, I wouldn't blame her either.
She's not. I mean, this Big Three league. Allen Iverson stepped out of it because he said it was too rough.
Hmm.
She's not going to last. She won't last long at all. I understand why Ice Cube did that because she's not going to go to the WNBA. That gives him, she's not going to go to the NBA. She'd go to the WNBA, but he make more. The $5 million he pays her, he's going to make more than that in viewership and sponsorship and everything else. He's looking at that. I see what it is. It's a win-win.
Like I said,
for him.
it's striking why the iron's hot too. She's a big name in sports.
Absolutely.
Striking.
But I don't see her being as successful. Yes, she can shoot, but I don't see her being as successful in there because of the way that they hate each other, because it's 3-on-3. There's not enough way to cover her up to help open her up as there was on a 5-on-5 regular basketball game. So
I don't know.
Really?
Logo 3 is still going to be good from a Logo 3, no matter where you are.
true, but she's going to be covered up the whole time. They're not going to she's not going to be as
It's
open as she
possible.
was there with it. No, it's
And
not
no
possible.
guy's
It's
gonna,
true.
no guy, unless if they're getting paid under the table, is gonna let a girl humiliate them like that.
Yeah, they're not going to leave her
Well,
open.
She
They're
supposedly
not
did
gonna
do
give her
that in
the
high
opportunity.
schools and other ones places
True.
too. So
True, but a lot of these are ex-NBA players.
Yeah.
The good ones.
Guys, these are guys that know what they're doing. It's not like it's, the cocky guy, Division I guy, that she could really school and sew up about that. These are guys that have different tricks up their sleeve. They know what they're doing. If she does go to the big to the big to that and plays for Ice Cube's league, I don't blame her. Take that
oh,
money.
no.
Take the money.
Mhm.
I'm all about taking the money. Take the money. Get it. Get it while you
Mhm.
can. But if she decides, hey, I'm going to go ahead and go to the WNBA and become the best there ever was in the WNBA, I don't fault her for that either.
Right.
It's all up to what she wants to do and how she wants her legacy to be. If she wants her legacy to be the best there ever was, it'll be the WNBA. If she wants to take the money, she's going to go and play in the Big Three, and whichever you want to do, by all means, it's your life. Go live it. Just don't,
Mhm.
whichever decision you have, don't sit there and ask to be, like if she goes to the Big Three, don't sit there and say, oh, well, I'm the best women player there ever been. And well, no, you didn't go play against the best there. So you can't be put into that category at that point, especially if you don't succeed in the Big Three.
Most importantly, don't bitch in the big three if you don't get the call.
Yeah.
Doing women like you do right now.
Now say she goes to the Big Three and she does fail. I think this goes without saying. Does the WNBA allow her in after
Oh,
that?
1,000%.
Well, yeah, they would.
100,000%.
But do you think that would
However-
affect her?
Huh?
Maybe mentally. Do you
Depends
think
on
mentally that would
injuries,
affect
maybe.
her?
Oh, I don't.
Rough.
know.
I don't
rough
think
at
so.
that league.
But well, I mean, honestly, I don't see her
Unless
going
the
there to begin
she gets
with.
in.
But yeah, injuries would be the only thing. I can fuck with that, I think.
That was just my curiosity that went with it.
I mean, it could be interesting too. She could go to the Big Three and just destroy people, but then get
She's
knocked
not-
on her ass a lot
no,
after a
that
while.
will not happen.
Impossible.
That would
But-
not happen. Will not happen at all. I'd love to say that it would. I'd love to say that she could. I think it would be, and if she did, if I'm completely wrong, and she was league and she does, hey, I'll fully sit down and say I apologize. I was wrong. I'm happy to do it. I've been wrong before. I'll say if I'm wrong again, but it
Oh,
will
we know
not
you've been wrong before.
happen.
No.
Exactly, and I've admitted it too. I've completely come up on
I
this
know.
podcast and said I'm wrong. My apologies. I was completely wrong in that. Ooh, I've said it multiple times, but there is no way that she'll be able to succeed in that. I'm sorry, she won't. She won't.
No. Absolutely not.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next subject, and this one right here is really another hot, as hot as the Mavericks are, the Stars are just as hot
Yes.
coming here to the end of the season. They are right now first in the Western Conference with 103 points, 3 points up on Vancouver at 100. Last time we talked, they were right. They were, I think, third. They were right below Vancouver. And
Yeah,
the
that
way
sounds
that
about
they've been
right.
playing, they are.
Colorado and Vancouver, I think, were ahead of them. Like you said, they were third.
Yes, they were. The Stars are on a 7-game win streak. They're 8-2 in their last 10, and overall in the entire NHL, they are only 1 point behind the New York Rangers, who are at 104. So they're second in the entire NHL right now. The Stars are playing lights out. Now, the
Yeah.
only thing that scares me is, are we going to be able to keep this continued through the playoffs? And the thing that makes me feel confident that they are is the last couple of years of that they have been able to make some push in the playoffs.
Right.
Last year we lost to Vegas, but they went on to win it. We actually gave them a harder time than most of the other teams did after we played them.
Yeah.
Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin have had some experience in the playoffs since the bubble, when they went to the championship in the bubble against Tampa Bay. And this team is looking fired up. They're looking good. And they're not, it's going to be hard to knock them out. They're going to need a team that comes in that is, you need like the,
Are we sure about the toughness of
Yeah.
this team? Like you said, I mean,
I am sure
can they
about-
keep it up?
I am sure about
Okay.
this team.
Just
I'm
asking.
feeling very confident about the toughness of this team. I have no doubt
I'll
about
play your
the team.
devil's advocate game.
Go for it. Hey, no, I am happy that you are. Please
Yeah.
do. I don't want everybody guessing along with me. Screw that. No. If I'm not playing devil's advocate, somebody else better be doing it. Absolutely. I'm not worried about the toughness of this team. I think that they've built this toughness up since last year after losing to Vegas, where I felt like they had a chance against Vegas. They let it go. Vegas was able to power their way all the way to the Stanley Cup, where they destroyed everyone after the Stars.
Yeah.
So
They
I
did.
believe they have the veteran leadership. They've got the young talent that has been producing all year long. And this is a team you do not want to match up with going into the Stanley Cup playoffs, which is my favorite playoffs. I've stated that multiple times. I cannot wait for the Stanley Cup playoffs to start. It's the best playoffs in all sports. I am ready to watch this, and especially if the Stars are sitting there number one in the West, even better. I cannot wait for the NHL playoffs to get underway.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that makes you cautious is just simply what happened last year, right? With
That's what I'm saying. Like, are we
with
sure
the
they can
Bruins and
hold
the
up?
Panthers, you
Um,
never know what's going to happen. Now, I don't think that's going to
I'm not
happen.
thinking about that. I know that to me, that's past. That's the history. I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about that.
I'm not. No. You don't think about the negative. But also, too, I think a main thing about this Stars team is that that's gotten them to improve is Jake Ottinger. I think he struggled a lot earlier this season with the injuries, recovering from that. We saw a lot of Wedgwood, who is our backup goalie, who struggled a lot as well. But then once Ottinger is fully recovered, this team has looked a lot better and has taken that next level to be a President's Trophy contender, which President's Trophy means you get the most points in all of hockey, and therefore get the regular season home field advantage, or home ice advantage, I should say. So they're just one game behind the Rangers in that category at this point. So I think that's been a major part of this team. And also, too, the Stars got Chris Tanev at the deadline for the Flames. A great defensive player. He hasn't had the opportunity to play yet, but it looks like he's going to be able to play very, very soon, maybe as soon as tomorrow night. So that'll be great to see him contribute to this franchise as well. So this is very, very exciting. But again, you never know until the playoffs happen. It's kind of like the NCAA tournament. Even though it's a series format, it's still really about who's hot at the right time. So
I feel confident, especially with their young scorers. You've got Wyatt Johnson, Rupe Hintz going up with your old guys, with Joel Pavlich and which I completely butchered his name.
Joe Pavelski.
Pavelski, that's what it is. With Pavelski and with Jamie Benn, I mean, the way they put these lines together, it's scary. I mean, they're good on every single line. They've got guys that can score, and they got guys that can move and really just skate lights out. This is a good team coming out. And if they do not get to the Stanley Cup championship, it's a disappointing year for them.
Sure it is.
Okay, we're just going to
The
flip
team
it
they
to
put together, what they've done,
I'll flip the
especially
table
what they've
too,
done
Dan.
late here in the season. Well, they've peaked late here. I'm not saying they've peaked right now, but they've gotten so hot here late in the season.
Yeah.
As long as they keep this momentum going, I mean, it's going to be hard to stop them going through. It really is. There's not a team in the Western Conference that scares me. Really, there's no team in the Eastern Conference that scares me. Now, are there teams that could beat us? Absolutely. There are plenty of teams that could beat them, but there's no team that scares me. There's no team like, oh, if we match up against them, I don't know how we're going to do. No, I feel confident against any team. But there we go.
Oh.
All right, now with our hockey talk all complete, wrapped up a little bow on top of it, let's talk some baseball. It's baseball time in Texas.
It's baseball time in Arlington. But yes,
Rangers were able to take a 2-1 series win over the Cubs.
One opening day and comeback fashion too.
Oh, beautiful game. I was able to actually watch that one live and absolutely loved every moment of it.
Right.
Especially with Jonah Heim making the bonehead call of arguing.
Yeah, you got to go get that ball,
right.
especially if I'm wrestling.
He was right. It was a foul ball. He was right. But at the same time, you got to know when to shut up and just
that
play.
Kind of pissed me off about opening day, though, is the fact that they couldn't hang our sign right for like 3 innings.
Oh,
they
no,
finally got it fixed. I was like, what are you doing? Like, you're hanging the championship banner like crooked and it's got a crease in it. Nah.
By banner, you mean the giant rally towel that they hung up there? Because that's what it looks like. It looks like a rally towel. And as bad as the championship banner looked, because when it came out, I go, really? That's what it is? I was like, I was expecting better. But okay, hey, we got it up there. It looks like something they could just, turn into a rally towel that they could then sell down, to all the fans.
That may be what they're doing.
But as bad as that is, the ring that the guys received
that's
2 days later, completely opposite end of the spectrum. That is one of the best championship rings I have ever seen.
Yeah, with a reversible face that you can take off and set it differently. And then the teams you swept, you got spelled out in road because you set a road victory
in
record.
In their logos. What disrespect to them of just and that each one had a circle of baseball leather from a baseball from the World Series.
Very true.
Thought that went into these rings was, you haven't seen this kind of detail done in any championship ring that I can remember in recent history. I've seen I have seen some stuff done in these championship rings. It's like, wow, that's pretty creative. You know, they
Mhm.
really thought this out.
Oh, that's a cool look, at least.
The whole way that every angle you look at this ring, there is a story to it. It's almost to the it's almost absurd the way that they went with
That
it.
is, yeah. The Rangers
not
actually
complaining.
did good here with their ring selection and ring design.
I don't care that they went over the top. I think it's
Oh,
great.
Well,
I mean, your first one, yeah, you got to go
each
over the top. I
player ring was $75,000 a ring.
Great.
75.
It was like,
Thousand.
yep. And staff and coaches
Correct.
and some front office people got it too.
Now, I'm not saying that
So-
the like broadcast guys got the same ring. They got
Yeah,
rings, but I'm
no.
not saying they got the same ring. But at
Right.
the same time, for the player rings, it was 75 grand a ring. But those
Yeah.
guys aren't. Those
They
guys
did.
aren't. They in
Every
when you look at that
Diamond
ring,
and
you go,
ruby and
I
emerald in there.
understand exactly why that ring costs 75 grand because it should for
Mhm.
what
Yes.
detail that was put into it. It was very, very impressive.
Very true. Very true. Great ring.
Yeah, but the
Also-
only
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, or were you gonna continue about the Rangers, Chris? Or
Yes, I'm continuing on the range.
okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, in talking about the Rangers and last night's game, Josh Young,
Yep.
third player hit in a row, and when he was hit on his right wrist and had a broken wrist due to the hit.
Boo!
Yep.
Had surgery today and will be out 6 weeks. So I do firmly believe he'll be 6 weeks before he starts throwing again. And to me, and people are like, "Oh, he keeps getting injured." This was
These are
like
freak
it's not like he pulled
injuries.
his
Yeah.
hand. It's a freak injury. He injured his thumb on the last one on getting hit by a pitch. It's
Right.
to me,
He's a snake bit.
he has been snake bit, and I hate it because he was leading the team in RBIs. He was leading the team in batting average. He was actually really
Had a
looking
great
like
start.
They have
People
phenomenal
have-
start.
people had him as a dark horse for MVP. I mean, he's a guy that no one's talking about because everyone's so excited about Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford. They're so
Yeah.
excited about them that you forget that Josh Young in his
And
rookie
don't
season
forget Corey
was
Seager and
the
Simeon are
all-star-
the face.
exactly. And
He
and
gets
you put
lost in
that
the
all
shuffle.
together, and he was the
Mhm.
all-star starter at third base last year as a rookie. As a
Yeah.
rookie, and people forget about him. And I hate that this happened for him. I really truly hate it. And I hope that he's
Yeah.
able to come back like he did last year and have success like he did. And I just
I
don't
think
want
he
this
will
to
too,
fail in
but
any
yeah.
way. My heart went
Just want to
down.
make sure they give him plenty of time to heal. But yeah, like if it takes 7 weeks, give the man 7 weeks.
And it comes down to Ezekiel Duran, who should be taking over everyday third base duty for him, which last year when Seager got hurt there at the end of the year, he took over and his bat was on top of it. It was like Seager didn't leave because Duran was hitting. We need Duran to
And
have
Duran was covered for Young last year too at the same rate and piss. Or
exactly.
Pace,
We need him
excuse
to
me.
come in and
Being pissed.
fill his position, do what he needs to
same
do there.
piss, the pace.
And
Yep.
Rangers did call up their number one prospect, Foscue. He's been
Yes.
called up. There was talk that, oh, will he take over third? No. Ezekiel Duran will be taking over third. Foscue will be taking over first base until Nathaniel Lowe comes back. And
Well, Walsh was doing a pretty decent job.
Walsh has done a very good job and actually came in and hit a home run his first,
Yeah.
that right after the Rangers got their ring, said he felt a little jealous about it,
Right.
that he had never been to the playoffs
Yeah.
and seeing him did. He was happy for the guys, but a little jealous that he wasn't able to
Right.
get one. That's what you want from your guys that are coming out of your bench. Guys that are like, hey, I
Yeah.
want this too. What can I do to help us? And when
Well,
I get my
also-
opportunity to take advantage of it.
Yeah. Also,
Very true.
too, I think it's just even though it's horrible for Josh Young, I feel terrible, but good thing for the Rangers that you have guys like Foscue and Durant at your disposal, Josh Smith, another guy as well. Just able to jump in because all three of those guys could have been trade pieces for other teams to get starting pitching.
No,
And
absolutely. And
and-
what I like is that, okay, I hate that this injury happened to Young. You know what? I'm glad that it happened now, 5 games into the season.
oh,
because then
100%. What
silver
better time than
lining
April
is that
1st than
You're
It's
bringing
early at least, but yeah.
you're bringing Foscue up, and you're able to bring some of these younger guys up to get some major league experience and let them you can test the waters with them a little bit here
right?
during this injury, and then hey, you can kind of see what you got. It's a prove it to me. Hey, you've got an opportunity here. Here's your opportunity to prove yourself. Why should you be up here? Why should you take someone else's spot? Or if you are good enough to take a spot, but you're not able to beat this guy, but we can use you as trade later on to bring in some more.
Yeah,
Little
or
league
make
pitching.
somebody look good like they should have done with Profar when he first came up and looked
Exactly.
good.
So, I mean, if you're gonna have an injury, this is the time to have it, because you're set to hold off a 6 to 8 week injury. We've seen that last year. Last year, how many injuries?
Yeah.
When Stevie went down, we were like, "Oh God, there's no way they're gonna make the playoffs now."
Right.
Young went down. We're like, "Oh God, there's no
Yeah,
way." It's
Garcia
gonna
went
happen.
down at the end of last year too. You're like, well,
And
that's
Garcia went
it.
down in the playoffs. Well, we're done. Garcia's down. El Bombi's down.
Mhm.
There's no way we're gonna be able to.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
don't have
this
Game
one
7 in Houston. Yeah. Yep. But I mean, right now, Houston, speaking of the devil, is 1-5.
Yes, they are, and we're gonna be taking. We're gonna be
Poor
One of those
taking.
wins is a no hitter.
Poor
Hey.
Houston.
Yep, the one win
I'm
was
all
a
happy
no
for
hitter. It was, but they're 1-5, and the Rangers will be meeting up with them again next week. The first
They
series with
will.
Houston, and I hope we just completely just clobber them. Just with Hader going there. I am now a hater. Completely.
I'm just a Houston hater
Oh.
right now. I just get them out. Just don't even let them get the playoffs. Just put them out.
Slap them around.
Starting
especially
pitcher
since
is definitely
everyone-
the weakness
since
for Houston
how
this year.
many- How many pundits picked Houston to win it all, or to win the West? Some of them picked them
Yeah.
to go
Yeah, at
away
least
to the
to
World
win the
Series,
West.
but they at least picked to win the
Yeah.
West, and all of them that did that also picked Seattle to finish second, and the Rangers third.
Give or take. I've seen some of those swap, but yeah.
It's funny
There's a
to
lot of
see,
people
But not
are.
many.
It's funny
Yeah.
to see Houston below Oakland. It's arguably
Which
the
Oakland
worst
is
team that's
right
ever
now in
existed.
negotiations. The A's are in
I was about to say,
negotiations
yeah, we
City
did
of
bring that up.
for a 5-year extension on playing at the Coliseum until their new stadium.
Yeah, until their new stadium. Although they've met with Sacramento now too, so they're discussing it
Yeah,
with
I figured that.
Sacramento, Salt Lake, and Oakland all at the same time to try to
And
find a
I've been to
temporary
that
home.
stadium in Sacramento before when I was a kid visiting my aunt and uncle.
Oh yeah,
And that basically is a miniature Oakland Coliseum. So we could probably,
so they could sell it out at least.
Hey, they'll be able to sell out then because
yeah.
the fans in
You hope.
Oakland that on opening day they banned going to opening day, so there was like 17 fans at opening day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just
Mm.
absurd.
That whole situation.
I'm ready for that all to get over with. They need to get out of Oakland. And I'm sorry, Oakland fans. You can complain all you want to that things weren't done right and everything like that, but you have never supported a single team that you've had. That's the reason why the Raiders left for Vegas. That's the reason why they left for LA back in the day, and then unfortunately came back and then left again for Vegas. That's the reason why the Warriors jumped across the bay and went to San Francisco because they couldn't deal with what was going on there. And the reason the A's are now finally getting to their senses and leaving for Vegas. You are a shithole that did not take care of your teams. You've had 3
Exactly.
teams that you let walk away in the span
No.
of 10
Yeah.
years. 10
And
years. In 10 years, you let 3 major league teams walk.
And it's
And
really
did nothing
scary
to
to
stop
see. It's really going to be scary to see what happens to the city of Oakland after all this goes down.
It's
Because
their own fault.
It
It's their
is.
own fault.
Oh, it is. I'm just saying.
They had
that
every
it's scary.
opportunity where they could have kept these franchises there, and they didn't do it. And they let 3 major franchises walk. It's not like you let your hockey team walk away. It's rare that a hockey team leaves. Phoenix, that's happening soon. Maybe they could get the Coyotes. They get the Coyotes to come over.
Well, they already have San Jose.
Yeah. And San Jose sucks. They're one of the worst
Yeah, they're
ones.
the worst
This
team in
makes
the
me
league.
so happy. Oh, I hate the Sharks so much. Just
Why?
because the old rivalry that they used to be in the same division as the Stars, and I always hated them
yeah.
because it was always the Stars in San Jose during the Madonna and everything that they were
Right.
always a matchup. That's why I hate the Sharks. I'm just so happy that they suck. Oh,
Well, let
makes-
me turn this back to the Rangers for a second here, though. Hopefully, a little bit of good news. Marcus Semien has been quoted as talking with Corey Seager and everybody, saying they want to have reunions every 10 years with the World Series championship team coming back to the Arlington area and going to games and things of that nature and whatnot. So that's kind of interesting. Be interesting to see if that team does something like that. And then also, no more Cotton Eye Joe at the stadium. You will not hear that in your 7th inning stretch anymore.
And is there,
some people
what's
like
the
it, some people
reason
don't.
behind that?
They haven't really posted a reason yet. They're just going with different programming at this point.
Scott Morgan has stepped down as far as like picking music and DJing and everything, and so it's a new DJ that's taking care of a lot of the music selections and everything else along with that. Although hearing on 105.3 The Fan there in Dallas Fort Worth that they had been talking about all this, and he apparently messaged them on Twitter saying, "Hey, stop bashing me. I'm only doing what I'm told, playing the songs I'm told. Quit trying to hate on me. I'm a Ranger fan," and having a complete meltdown.
Yeah, I was like, there was some interesting Twitter stuff.
This is all hearsay
It's like-
because I don't have like a Twitter. I could sit here and say, "Hey, here's what it is." All hearsay. Just saying, but
Yeah, even
that's what I've
fans
heard
are
of
like,
that, but this
bring it back.
happened before. They took out
Yeah.
the Cotton Eye Joe and did like the
a techno version or
techno
something.
version of it, and the fans said no, and they went
Mhm.
back to the original. So, hey, Texas fans, I'm sorry. When you go to the ballpark, if they're not involved, they're not doing the wave, they're not doing, all the other stuff that people do at other stadiums where they're actually involved. So if they're
But you give
trying
them a
to
towel, they will wave that shit. We will wave a terrible towel in 2
Diet,
seconds.
they'll wave. When it comes down to it, if they're just, if they're trying to, I'm not going to fault the Rangers for doing something
Oh,
different.
yeah.
To actually
Give it a
get
shot.
people involved and get them actually doing something and being involved in the game. I'm not going to fault that for that. If we have to sacrifice Cotton Eye Joe for that, Lord forbid we sacrifice Cotton Eye Joe.
The
Get
president's race in
fans
here or something.
involved. Get the
Yeah.
fans involved, get them in there. And as we're talking, Golden State 102, Dallas 95, 32.2 seconds left in the game. Looks like that was
No.
There, yeah. Seth Curry just got a
Streak
dagger
is
on us.
come to an end.
Well, the game is
It's a
in
good streak.
the game's in California. See, there were a couple of questionable calls I've seen. Luka hasn't been getting a couple of foul calls that Steph got tonight. I saw a couple
Yeah.
that
We
out there
can
like,
get into that later.
and Luka got hacked down. It's like, come on. I mean, basically like,
Yeah, but I've also seen Luka try to throw a no-look pass behind his back and threw it out of bounds.
Sure. Yeah, he did that. He did that quite a few times.
This is a heat check game.
So now
So
to English Premier League.
Mm.
Ole, 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 ole. This on Easter Sunday,
Mhm.
Arsenal 0-0 to Manchester City. This was a game I
Mm.
watched. I was like, come, all Arsenal had to do was score one goal, and they retained the number one spot in the Premier League, and they could not score Manchester City. Now, Manchester City couldn't score an Arsenal, could not at all. Which all the pundits talking during the game were like, "This is a big step up for Arsenal." I'm like, Arsenal's been beating teams 6, 7, 8, nothing.
Right.
Yeah, but those are garbage teams.
They were garbage. Teams,
True,
but
true.
time,
They've been beating baby
me-
seals, Porter. Are you happy beating baby seals?
I am. But when you beat enough baby seals, you should be confident enough that when you come up against the big fucking walrus, you should be able to club it at least one time in the head. At least once while they hit it.
Yeah, true.
And to me, watching this game, Arsenal did not play the same game they played against these baby seals.
I unfortunately
were
didn't
not
see that. Does
aggressive.
this? Do you think? Yeah, I was about to say. Do you think they played more skittish, more defensively
did.
than?
They played more defensively. They in the talking head saying the same thing. They're like, this is not the Arsenal that we've seen. They're seen to playing more defensively. They're not on the aggressive side.
No.
Go back and look at the stats.
I was about to
Manchester
say, I'm
City-
looking at the just
Manchester
the
City
sheer
had twice
box
the
score.
amount. Had
Mm.
look at the box score. Manchester City
Mhm.
owned possession double what Arsenal had. It's like
73
Arsenal was
and
playing not to
27.
lose. They were playing prevent defense the entire game. That's all they did was play
Holy
prevent.
shit. Yeah, they were. and then, like, not to
Here's
mention,
the stats. I watched it live, and I'm sitting there going, "What the f are you doing? Attack the goal. You're not even trying to attack.
Mm-hmm.
No one even attempted to get an attack at all. It was absolutely absurd. It's like,
you,
okay, this is not the same team I've been watching for the past month and a half that has been
Right.
aggressive from the get-go. And yeah, maybe it took them about, half the first period. It took them 15, 16 to 20 minutes to score the first goal. But after you scored, they would score 5 in a row because
Right.
they just attacked. They looked skittish. They looked scared. They looked like they were worried about it. But then it comes down to that Arsenal's manager is the protege of Manchester City's manager.
Mm.
well,
Which
the thing is, you have Luton Town.
as a
tomorrow.
long time, as a long time tenured fan of Arsenal, that's something I should have known. But I don't really pay attention to these other, second class clubs. So even though I've been with the team
Oh,
for,
man.
so
Second
long,
class.
Yeah.
and
Let's just say
Man,
he's
we brought
City.
we brought this Frenchman in. I knew we brought a Frenchman in, as the new manager. And I was like, we've been suffering for so long since that 03-04 season that we won, It's so long we've been suffering here. For 20 years I've been suffering here. That
I know you stuck it through.
I know it's
Think it
it's
through.
been rough. It's been rough.
I've had to comfort you for many seasons in a row.
It's been 20 years, my friend. 20 years. I've been,
Uh,
going
Yeah.
with the Gunners here. I've just been gunning for years and
yeah,
years.
been
and years.
gunning it. Mm.
Yeah.
All right.
Here we
All right.
are.
Let's go.
Anyway, with them going 0-0, Liverpool actually on last Saturday got a 2-1 win over Brighton. So that took them back over into the lead.
Mhm.
Liverpool 67, Arsenal 65, Manchester
Yeah.
City 64.
Now,
Now
Liverpool
going
and
into
Man
this,
City are going to play Sunday, April 7th. So,
that is coming up. But in this next week, tomorrow,
Mhm.
Arsenal has Luton Town.
Yeah, that's
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Thursday, Liverpool has Sheffield, and both those teams, Luton Town, Sheffield, they're both going to relegation, like, unless there's a sky falls. Those are two of the three teams that are getting relegated. They're done. Sheffield, Arsenal beat them 3 weeks ago, 6-0. They just
Sheffield,
destroyed them.
Burnley, Luton Town, they're all done. Well, maybe Nottingham
They're all done.
Forest, maybe your
Well, Nottingham
family
Forest was
shouldn't
able to
worry
get
about.
the win today. They were able to get a win today.
Okay.
There's still hope for Nottingham Forest. My brother-in-law
hopefully
and my wife's cousin are fans of Nottingham Forest. Said if they get relegated, they're going to AC Milan.
Well, you can't do that. You have to stay within the league.
Well, they said. Well, I told them they're welcome to jump on the Arsenal bandwagon.
Arsenal
They said-
jump on the
they said
Arsenal
they're leaving the
bandwagon.
English Premier League if Nottingham Forest is relegated. Gone. They're out.
Join the Wolves bandwagon.
But the
there you go.
Manchester City also on Saturday plays Crystal Palace. So I mean, all these three teams have some lightweights they have coming up here in this next week. So
Mhm.
there's still a lot of parity going on, especially with as close as it is. But it would have really helped Arsenal to be able to get a goal and get one goal at least over Manchester City to get the points and be able
Yeah.
to keep it in the lead. It's going to be a little harder now to win that championship, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Very true.
Which, as my wife told me, I may look into this coming up, I think in July. I think it's a Wednesday. I can't remember which date, but Arsenal and Liverpool will be playing at Liberty Financial Field in Philadelphia for a friendly game.
I'm looking at this
There
right
you
now.
Non-English Premier League game, but a friendly game.
Right.
Liverpool versus Arsenal in Philadelphia on a Wednesday. May have to take a little road trip out to Philly.
Right.
And go
I was about to say.
That'll be the last day of July on a Wednesday. Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
That's going to be a lot cheaper than flying out to England.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
No,
A nice
not wrong
little-
at all.
And that'll be a couple weeks before the Premier League starts.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so may take the boys out there to go see Arsenal versus Liverpool and Philly. Get to get away with that.
Not
for
a
little
bad
while.
choice. Hmm.
The only problem is I have to go to Philly.
I know. Philadelphia sucks. It's the worst city I've ever been to in my
No,
life.
I agree. All right. Well, that's all I've got there. You guys got anything else to go along here with the gumbo?
I'm good.
The only thing I want to say real quick, and I know Caleb, you didn't watch this, so if y'all fall asleep, go ahead.
Mm.
But Scotty Scheffler had a chance to win the Shell, or not, it's not the Shell he's
I watched
Cup
that.
anymore. It's the
Mhm.
Texas
Texas Children's Invitation.
Children's Houston Open now.
Mm-hmm.
Scotty Scheffler had a 5-foot putt to win this tournament straight
did.
on, and he missed it. And Steven Yeager, Baylor School Zone, my former high school in Chattanooga, UTC, University of Tennessee, Chattanooga grad, gets his first PGA Tour victory. So congratulations to him. But what a missed opportunity by Scotty there.
Hey, what my question
That
is, and
happens.
I'll ask you this right here. Scotty is the number one golfer in the world. When was the last time the number one golfer in the world had so many putting challenges that Scotty has? Because he has so many times that he just misses. He double bogeyed on the 18th hole on day 2.
Yes. I've never seen it.
It seems like whenever Scotty does lose a tournament, like he should be winning more tournaments than what it is, but every time he loses, it's because his putting game. When was the last time we saw a number one golfer overall have this much trouble putting?
We haven't. We haven't.
Tiger Woods
I don't
after the
remember
scandal.
Well, after the scandal, but he wasn't number one
He
overall.
wasn't number one.
That's
So the
Every
thing
number
is,
one you've seen is always solid putting.
they're
Always
solid
solid.
in everything. If Scheffler can putt, he is essentially the closest thing to Tiger Woods I've seen, to be quite honest with you.
But the guy can't putt.
He
He
can't.
can't. It happens every single time.
Right.
When it comes like Scotty is just like Tiger. Everything till it comes to putting, then he's Jordan Spieth on day 4,
Right.
where he just falters left and right. It's absolutely absurd. I don't know what it is about him, but
Yeah.
regardless, Scotty is still who my son idolizes, and I'm going to continue pushing that because, hey, yes, follow
He's
him, but
Dallas'
better
be
than
a better
others.
putter.
Yeah. Right. Be better than your idol, but yes.
And that's all I had.
Well, hey, next week we'll get ready so we can get talking about the Masters that's coming up here soon.
Yes.
We got a lot of
Caleb,
stuff
I'm
coming up
getting
here
you
very, very
motivated to
soon.
watch the Masters. Let's go.
Okay, we'll take a look at it. We'll take a look at it.
We'll take a look
I'm gonna start
at it.
I'm gonna start trying to get my odds all ready for us for the Kentucky Derby, so we can be ready for
Yeah.
that and have a Kentucky Derby set up here for us, just like we did the
Mhm.
tournament. If everybody's up for that, I know I am. We do it in my family every year for a bottle of booze, so always a good time there with that. But
I want to go.
I
You want in?
want to
Just
go to
tell
the
'em.
Kentucky Derby too. But if you want to get in on that, just let us know.
I was about to say, yeah.
We can
Just
have
get in
a next round, Kentucky Derby, betting line. Put them all out beforehand and go for that. I'm all for it. But anyways, we've had a great evening. It's been a great time talking sports. We'll be looking forward to talking to everyone next week. We'll be talking about who actually won the national championship. Be able to see if our picks match. Probably sending unless Jeffy pulls out a huge win here, we'll be sending out a $50 gift card to a lucky winner.
Yeah.
And getting ready for the next round after that. So once again, for Caleb Culver, Jeff Amos, it's Chris Porter. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you at the next round. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.